Chapter 6:14. Shi Qianghua was very cautious. Even if she did not find any danger after arriving at the Sword Mountain path, she still did not easily leave this place. A few days later, Ning Cheng remained in a coma. Shi Qianghua also felt somewhat anxious in her heart, but she did not have any spirit pills on her, nor did she have any precious spiritual grasses on her, nor did she know anything about healing, as such she could only feel anxious. On the 9th day, Shi Qianghua could no longer sit still and do nothing. If she continued to wait like this, there wouldn't be a healing pill falling from the sky. If she went out to look for it, she might have a chance. In a place like the Sword Mountain path, if the Sword Mountain Huichun restaurant claimed to be the second best in terms of healing, no one would dare claim to be the best. The itinerant cultivators who sought a living in the Sword Mountain path would find the Sword Mountain Huichun restaurant as long as they were injured and had a hard time recovering. Some rogue cultivators didn't even go to the elixir pavilion to buy pills and came to this place. After Shi Qianghua left the rest stop, she asked around and found the Sword Mountain Invigorating Spring Pavilion. Almost all the bones in his body are broken, his meridians are severely damaged, and he still hasn't woken up. An old man with a celestial gatherer cultivation in the rejuvenating spring hall, after listening to Shi Qianghua's description, showed a frown while repeating Shi Qianghua's words. Yes. Shi Qianghua eagerly spoke up, "Senior, can you wake people up in this situation?" The old man pondered for a long time before saying, "I've seen this kind of situation before. Logically speaking, it should be very easy to wake up from this kind of situation. Cultivators cultivated their primordial spirits. Even if their fleshly bodies were damaged, their primordial spirits would still exist, unless their souls were destroyed. Your senior martial brother is still breathing, which means that his soul has not been destroyed. There is only one possibility." "What is the possibility?" Shi Qianghua almost asked from behind. The old man said unhurriedly, "That is, your senior brother suffered an extremely violent shock, and his essence spirit was unable to withstand it for a while, so he fell into a coma. If this is the case, your senior brother will wake up after a while, but even if he wakes up, he will become a cripple. It's not because his primordial spirit was shaken, but because your senior brother's meridians are completely unable to recover. Of course, this is still a good situation. If it is a bad situation, after your senior brother wakes up, he will become an idiot. How can splitting a primordial spirit be simple?" It had to be said that this old man was quite capable. His diagnosis was not too far off. "Then what should we do?" Shi Qianghua became even more anxious, but at the same time, she was even more confident in the old man's words. Because Ning Cheng had suffered a terrifying shock, which she had witnessed with her own eyes. The collapse of the immortal Jade Star, this kind of shock, how could it only be described as terrifying? The old man nodded, "It's impossible for your senior brother to fully recover. As for meridians rupturing, there was no way to solve it in the rugged pillar Starland. However, you must let your senior brother wake up as soon as possible. The later he wakes up, the harder it will be for his primordial spirit to recover. However, Senior." When Shi Qianghua heard the old man say these two words, she immediately paused, and anxiously called out again. The old man spoke with some difficulty, "It's just that the pill to wake up your senior apprentice brother is not cheap, it costs more than 1,000,000 purple coins, this you." The old man saw that Shi Qianghua's cultivation was not high, only at the celestial novice realm. For a celestial novice cultivator to come up with 1,000,000 purple coins, it really put people in a difficult position. Shi Qianghua no longer cared about anything else and quickly spoke up, "Senior, can I pay with perpetual moon pills?" "Of course." The old man suddenly stood up, "If you have perpetual moon pills, you can pay for it with just 100 perpetual moon pills." Shi Qianghua quickly took out 100 perpetual moon pills and placed it in front of the old man. Although she was cautious, she still lacked experience. If replaced with Ning Ruolin, she would have hesitated for a long time. Only after seeing the medicinal pill for Ning Cheng's treatment, would she have taken out 100 perpetual moon pills? Maybe she would even try to bargain over the price. Seeing Shi Qianghua really take out 100 perpetual moon pills, the old man excitedly put away the perpetual moon pills, took out a jade bottle and handed it to Shi Qianghua. This is a medicinal pill. After you give this medicinal pill to your senior apprentice brother, your senior apprentice brother should be able to wake up a day later. Many thanks, senior. Shi Qianghua grabbed the jade bottle and hurriedly walked out of the Sword Mountain invigorating spring pavilion. Wait a minute. Shi Qianghua had not walked far when a cultivator called out to her. Shi Qianghua stopped and looked at a man and a woman walking over in confusion. She cautiously asked, "What's the matter?" "Junior apprentice sister Kaifeng, the three of us went out to look for a secret immortal cave. While the two of us stopped the demonic beasts, you took away the things inside the immortal cave. You didn't even bother to say hello to us husband and wife. Isn't this a bit too much?" The one who spoke was the fierce-looking female cultivator. She looked much more robust compared to the monkey-faced male cultivator next to her. "I don't know you two at all, and I'm not called Kaifeng." Shi Qianghua's heart sank as she spoke. She understood that these two people had taken a fancy to her perpetual moon pills. The monkey-faced male cultivator spoke up in a straightforward manner, "Hand over the ring, and we'll let you go. Otherwise, die." The other party had a celestial gatherer cultivation, while the other had a celestial shatterer cultivation. Shi Qianghua felt sure that she was not an opponent for these two people. Ha! It turns out to be the Bao couple who go around snatching people's things. It's really wonderful. They actually made up such an interesting story. A sudden voice arrived. Hearing this voice, and seeing a young man walking over, the couple's expressions immediately turned ugly. The couple, who were originally following behind Shi Qianghua, were prepared to wait for Shi Qianghua to leave the Sword Mountain path, before making their move. However, when they saw Shi Qianghua take out the perpetual moon pills, they could no longer hold back the greed in their hearts. They wanted to snatch it and leave this place. They never expected to meet the Nosy Yu clan's young master. The monkey-faced male cultivator cupped his fists towards the young man and spoke, "Brother Yu, my husband and I have never neglected your mansion. I don't know why Brother Yu wants to make things difficult for us couple." The young male cultivator spoke up with disdain, "I'm just happy. Fuck off. With a trash couple like you, the entire Sword Mountain path has turned into a mess." The couple's expressions turned even uglier, but the two did not dare to continue talking to this male cultivator. Instead, they turned around and walked away. Many thanks for this senior apprentice brother's words. Shi Qianghua, on seeing the young male cultivator drive away the couple who wanted to rob her, quickly thanked him with a bow. The young male cultivator smiled, but before he could speak, a light green figure suddenly descended. "My lord husband, how did you end up with another beautiful woman?" The young male cultivator blushed and quickly spoke to the green-robed female cultivator, "Little sister Xin, it's not what you think. Just now, this junior apprentice sister was stopped by the Bao clan couple and wanted to snatch her away. I happened to see them and drove them away. So that's how it is, this little sister is so beautiful. I thought that you had taken a fancy to this little sister and was about to help you ask." The green-robed female cultivator giggled. The male cultivator felt moved in his heart. Although Shi Qianghua wore a veil, it still gave off a peerless elegance. From this, it could be seen that the face behind the veil was also not bad. Moreover, it would be extremely difficult for such a lone female cultivator to survive in the Sword Mountain path. If he could protect this female cultivator, then at least he could give her someone to rely on. Which man in his Yu clan did not have 3 or 4 wives? However, he only had one wife, which was a bit too few in comparison. Previously, when the clan head had mentioned this matter, he had only smiled and let it go. That was because he simply did not see any female cultivator in his eyes. But now this blue-robed girl suddenly appeared, as if she had fallen from the sky. It would be a good thing for her to marry him. However, not waiting for the young male cultivator to speak, Shi Qianghua quickly gave a respectful bow and spoke, "Many thanks to the 2 senior apprentice brothers and senior apprentice sisters. I'll be taking my leave now." Saying that, Shi Qianghua hurried away and turned a corner before disappearing. "Lord husband, were you really tempted?" The green-robed female cultivator pulled the male cultivator's hand and asked in a serious tone. After asking, she did not wait for the male cultivator to speak and took the initiative to speak again. "The Yu clan has few people, and the clan head also wants you to marry a few more women. Since you have taken a fancy to her, then you should marry her. I saw her heading in the direction of the South Sword Rest Stop, so she should be temporarily living in the South Sword Rest Stop. When the time comes, we can directly go to the South Sword Rest Stop to ask for her hand in marriage." The male cultivator's face showed a slight embarrassment. "I'm afraid that she would not agree." The green-robed female cultivator giggled again. "In the Sword Mountain Path, if elder brother Fei wants to marry someone, who would not agree? You can rest assured that I'll take care of this matter. Little sister Xian, thank you for your consideration." The young male cultivator felt even more happy in his heart. His wife was so considerate, what else could he not be satisfied with? As for the girl in the blue robe he met a moment ago, not to mention that he had saved her life. Even if there was no such thing, with his Yu clan status in the Sword Mountain Path, once he proposed marriage, which woman would hesitate for even a moment? He truly had overthought things. When Shi Qianghua came back, Ning Cheng was still in a coma. She quickly put the medicinal pill into Ning Cheng's mouth. The medicinal pill immediately turned into a medicinal liquid and began to stimulate Ning Cheng's zifu. The medicinal pill that Shi Qianghua had purchased was not good. It could not improve Ning Cheng's injuries, nor could it repair his meridians and life essence. However, this medicinal pill was not fake. The only function of this medicinal pill was to stimulate his zifu, allowing Ning Cheng to wake up earlier. After Ning Cheng swallowed the medicinal pill, he did not immediately wake up. However, Shi Qianghua could clearly feel that Ning Cheng's aura fluctuated a bit more, which made her feel happy. At least the old man from the Sword Mountain invigorating spring pavilion did not lie to her. After an hour, Ning Cheng's aura not only fluctuated a bit more, but it also became more stable. Not only that, but Ning Cheng also seemed to be absorbing the starry sky essence qi around him. It's just that the starry sky essence qi around him was too thin, and Ning Cheng could not absorb much. Seeing this, Shi Qianghua quickly took out a bunch of perpetual moon pills and placed them beside Ning Cheng. As soon as the perpetual moon pills came out, they instantly turned into perpetual moon pill qi and poured into Ning Cheng's body. Shi Qianghua, on seeing the effects of Ning Cheng absorbing the perpetual moon pill qi, felt speechless. She could foresee that the 10,000 perpetual moon pills would not be enough for Ning Cheng. Chapter 6:15. Some of the scattered pill qi made Shi Qianghua feel that it was a pity. She simply sat down on the edge, absorbed some of the pill qi from the perpetual moon pills and started cultivating. After Ning Cheng gave her the perpetual moon pills, she had never used them. When Shi Qianghua started cultivating, Ning Cheng had already sobered up. However, he did not immediately open his eyes, rather was trying to heal his sea of consciousness. Shi Qianghua's pill had stimulated his sea of consciousness, causing him to wake up for a short period of time. If he did not quickly heal himself, then once the effects of the pill wore off, he would once again return to his original state of deep sleep. The reason why he had chosen to restore his sea of consciousness instead of his meridians and physical body was because he had to do so. That was because once his divine sense recovered, he would have all kinds of pills. Compared to the medicinal pills brought by Shi Qianghua, they were many times better. Shi Qianghua had never used perpetual moon pills for cultivation, however, when she used the perpetual moon pills pill qi for cultivation, her cultivation progressed at an astonishing rate. It didn't take long for her to approach the celestial shadow realm. At first, she carefully helped Ning Cheng absorb the pill qi from the outside, trying not to let the pill chi from the perpetual moon pills overflow. In the end, she completely immersed herself in the pleasure of cultivating perpetual moon pills and forgot that this place was just a rest stop with few restrictions. Moreover, how big was the movement caused by Ning Cheng absorbing the perpetual moon pills? Even if Shi Qianghua did not cultivate, she would not be able to stop the dissipating pill chi. Is this the aura of perpetual moon pills? The cultivators outside the South Sword rest stop immediately felt the aura of perpetual moon pills, while the cultivators inside the South Sword rest stop immediately felt the aura of perpetual moon pills. In a rest stop, without any restrictions, there were very few cultivators who used perpetual moon pills for cultivation. At this time, 2 female cultivators arrived at the entrance of the South Sword rest stop. The younger female cultivator wore a green robe, and was the wife of the male cultivator who had previously saved Shi Qianghua. Next to her was a middle-aged woman with average looks. However, there were 4 vague celestial wheels behind her, indicating that this middle-aged woman was at least a celestial bridge cultivator. Auntie, this. The green-robed female cultivator stopped in surprise and continued with some surprise, "Are you using perpetual moon pills for cultivation?" Which cultivator was this? What abundant cultivation resources! The middle-aged woman nodded, "That's right, there really are people using perpetual moon pills to cultivate in the South Sword rest stop." This person truly had a lot of courage, daring to blatantly use perpetual moon pills to cultivate in this place. Look, many cultivators are rushing over here. It seems like they have smelled the fishy smell. Let's go in and take a look. When the waiter saw the 2 women coming in from afar, he hurriedly welcomed them and said with a smile, "No wonder I'm in a particularly good mood today. Turns out it's 2 esteemed guests." The green-robed female cultivator didn't care about the shop assistant's flattery. She took out a portrait and said, "Does this female cultivator live in the South Sword rest stop?" As soon as the shop assistant saw the portrait, he cursed inwardly. This woman really didn't know the severity of the situation. Although he had already reported to the rest stop steward, these 2 people were from the Yu clan. Hurry up and answer. The middle-aged woman snorted in dissatisfaction when she saw the waiter's hesitation. "Yes, yes." The waiter quickly replied, "This female cultivator does live in our rest stop, but the guest is currently in secluded cultivation, so..." The green-robed female cultivator spoke up in surprise, "Is this woman the one who used perpetual moon pills to cultivate and caused such a big commotion?" The waiter froze for a moment. Didn't these 2 come here because of the overflowing aura of the perpetual moon pills? He quickly reacted and spoke, "Yes, it is her who is cultivating." The green-robed female cultivator looked at the middle-aged woman in surprise. Although she did not speak, the middle-aged woman understood what she meant. That is, this foreign female cultivator turned out to be quite wealthy. The middle-aged woman coughed and spoke, "It doesn't matter. We will be careful when we go up and try not to disturb her cultivation." After saying that, the middle-aged woman ignored the anxious waiter and went straight upstairs. The green-robed female cultivator naturally ignored the waiter and quickly followed up. When the restriction at the door touched, Shi Qianghua woke up. Only then did she discover the overflowing aura of the perpetual moon pills. Now that someone came to the door, maybe it was because of the perpetual moon pills. Immediately, Shi Qianghua's spiritual consciousness saw 2 women. She also recognized the green-robed one, the wife of the male cultivator who had saved her. "Excuse me, are the 2 seniors looking for me?" Shi Qianghua stood up and opened the restriction. The middle-aged woman and the green-robed female cultivator quickly entered the room. When the green-robed woman saw Ning Cheng lying in the room, she showed a smile and spoke, "I don't know if little sister still remembers me." Shi Qianghua bowed and spoke, "Many thanks for saving me. My name is Yang Xian, and the one who saved you is my husband Yu Fei. Today, I came with Aunt Eugenie." Yang Xian spoke with a smile. Without waiting for Shi Qianghua to speak, she took the initiative to sit down. She even motioned for Eugenie to sit down. Shi Qionghua's face remained calm, but she felt slightly uncomfortable in her heart. This room belonged to her, and without her permission, these two people acted as if this place was their own home. You can also sit down. I didn't expect you to use perpetual moon pills for cultivation. Yang Xian turned from guest to host. While speaking, she glanced at Ning Cheng inside the room. For Ning Cheng, 10,000 perpetual moon pills were nothing. At this moment, he had almost consumed all of them. Although Yang Xian and Eugenie came in, they did not see Ning Cheng absorbing the perpetual moon pills for cultivation. I don't have many perpetual moon pills, and I've already used them up. Shi Qionghua replied calmly. What she said was the truth. She had truly used up the 10,000 perpetual moon pills. It doesn't matter. We are not here to ask you for perpetual moon pills. Yang Xian spoke with a smile. By the way, my husband saved you today. What do you think of my husband? Senior apprentice brother Yu is a dragon and phoenix among men. Speaking with justice, this junior admires you greatly and is very grateful. Shi Qionghua spoke in a tone that was neither arrogant nor humble. Yang Xian shook her head and spoke, you don't have to call yourself a junior. I came here today for a happy occasion. Hearing this, Shi Qionghua's heart sank. She immediately recalled what Yang Xian had said to Yu Fei. Sure enough, Yang Xian continued, in the Sword Mountain Path, the Yu clan is the premier aristocratic family. Not only do they have experts in the undead realm, but they also have many celestial bridge cultivators. Aunt Yi, who came with me today, is a celestial bridge expert. My husband is the next clan head of the Yu clan and is also a celestial gatherer cultivator. He feels very tempted by you. You are alone here, even the Bao couple can bully you. I think it would be better for you to marry into our Yu clan. In the future, we will assist my husband together. At least in the Sword Mountain Path, no one will dare to bully you anymore. Shi Qionghua stood up and calmly spoke, many thanks to the two of you for your kindness, but my heart already belongs to someone else. Just wait for my senior apprentice brother to wake up and I will definitely repay you. Seniors, please go ahead. This junior won't send you off. Hearing Shi Qionghua's refusal, Yang Xian and Eugenie were somewhat surprised. A female celestial novice rogue cultivator came to the Sword Mountain Path and actually refused the marriage proposal of the Yu clan. Didn't she know that she wouldn't be able to last long here alone? The middle-aged woman's expression turned cold. Do you know the consequences of rejecting my Yu clan? My Yu clan will not force you to repay this life-saving grace. However, since you use perpetual moon pills to cultivate here, many people know that you have perpetual moon pills. Even if you don't leave the Sword Mountain Path, someone will find you here. Wait for your senior apprentice brother to wake up and repay the life-saving grace. Your senior apprentice brother is a waste, how can you repay him? Shi Qionghua's tone remained the same, I have my own choice, and no one can change it. Huh, good, let's see how you choose when you have no way to go. Xian, let's go. The middle-aged woman flicked her sleeves and stood up in anger. Yang Xian stood up and looked at Shi Qionghua for a while, before shaking her head. She had never seen such a stupid woman before. At this time, when others were eager to marry into the Yu clan, she even rejected the marriage proposal from the Yu clan. It was simply too stupid. Shi Qionghua watched the two women walk out of the room and was just about to activate the restrictions when she heard Ning Cheng's voice, Qionghua. Senior apprentice brother Ning, you woke up. Shi Qionghua turned around and called out in surprise. Ning Cheng gave an "n" sound, as his spiritual consciousness swept out. Suddenly, several array discs appeared out of thin air in front of Shi Qionghua. Qionghua, quickly rearrange the restrictions in this room with the array discs. I can only use my spiritual consciousness now, my body has not yet recovered. Yes. It was as if Shi Qionghua had found her backbone, as she quickly picked up the array disc that Ning Cheng had thrown out, and arranged all the restrictions around the room. With all the array discs arranged, the dispersing perpetual moon pill aura quickly disappeared without a trace. Senior apprentice Brother Ning, how long will it take for your body to recover? After arranging the array discs, Shi Qianghua nervously asked. Ning Cheng was silent for a moment before he spoke. If I start to use the pills now, and then go all out to recover, it would probably take about 10 days, but I do not want to recover. Why? Shi Qianghua looked at Ning Cheng in surprise. If senior apprentice Brother Ning did not restore his corporeal body, then she would not be able to live in this place for a long time. Do you have a higher level body refining art? In other words, after an ordinary cultivator refines his body to the 9th level, how will his body be improved? Ning Cheng knew that Shi Qianghua came from the everlasting sacred shrine, and had also undergone body forging in her past life. Perhaps Shi Qianghua had a higher level body forging cultivation method. To him, he only needed to know the direction of his new body refinement. The reason why he did not use medicinal pills to heal the serious injuries on his body was that he had a feeling that his bones were completely broken, and even his meridians were covered in cracks. If he had a powerful body forging cultivation method, then he was sure that he could reconstruct his corporeal body and bones, allowing his body forging to advance to the next level. Otherwise, in the future, if he wanted to reconstruct his body and reconstruct his bones, then he would have to go through the same process again. Shi Qianghua did not understand why Ning Cheng wanted a body forging cultivation method. She hesitated for a moment before speaking. I do not have a high-level body forging cultivation method, but I know that after one's body forging reaches the 9th level of God body, if one wants to advance again, then one must undergo nirvana. Shi Qianghua was not a fool. When she spoke about nirvana, she immediately understood. Ning Cheng's current appearance, was it not the best time for him to undergo nirvana? Ning Cheng suddenly understood, his sea of consciousness and flame both needed to undergo nirvana to advance to the next level. It was naturally the same for his body forging. It really was the case of the person directly involved being blinded. He did not even think of this. Chapter 6:16. Starry Sky cultivators rarely chose to undergo body forging, mainly because body forging required a lot of cultivation resources. Moreover, it also required a top-grade body forging cultivation method to complement it. Otherwise, body forging would just be a waste of time and energy. If that were the case, then it would not be a big deal. Ordinary cultivators did not have a good body forging cultivation method, nor did they have good restorative resources. Once their bodies underwent body forging, it would cause permanent damage to their bodies. Once their bodies were damaged, not to mention body forging, even cultivation would have a lot of side effects. Therefore, cultivators who chose body forging, all of them had a deep background and a strong will. Shi Qianghua did not expect Ning Cheng to be a body forging cultivator. A rogue cultivator who was a body forging cultivator definitely would not have a bad opportunity. However, from Ning Cheng's question, she could see that Ning Cheng did not cultivate a cultivation method for body forging. She sighed and spoke out the only thing she knew. I heard that body forging cultivators need treasures to achieve nirvana. Generally speaking, treasures are top-grade treasures that can reshape the corporeal body. Even if you have a cultivation method, without a top-grade body forging treasure, and without a body forging cultivation method, I'm afraid. Ning Cheng understood Shi Qianghua's meaning. She was worried that he did not have a body forging cultivation method, and worried that he did not have a nirvana treasure. However, Ning Cheng did not worry about it. His body forging cultivation method was something that he had derived from the embracing young god tactic. Now that he had a direction, he believed that he could deduce it himself. As for body forging treasures, Ning Cheng frowned. He had a heavenly cusp flower before, but it had already been used up by chasing bull. However, the grade of the heavenly cusp flower did not seem to be high enough. Now that he was in the celestial bridge realm, he naturally could not use the heavenly cusp flower. The best treasure he had was naturally the 9-colored mirage tree. However, whether the 9-colored mirage tree could reshape the body, Ning Cheng did not know. Moreover, the 9-colored mirage tree required the power of hope to move. Although he had advanced to the celestial bridge realm, whether he could use the 9-colored mirage tree was another matter altogether. In addition to the 9-colored mirage tree, he also had the geocentric 9-ene essence, rootless green bamboo, wood essence and many other good things. After considering it for a long time, Ning Qing decided to use the rootless green bamboo to reshape the body. The rootless green bamboo was a treasure that could reshape the life essence. Moreover, it was several times more precious than a treasure that could reshape the corporeal body. However, Ning Qing could not find anything better than the rootless green bamboo. If the rootless green bamboo really couldn't reshape his body, then he wouldn't undergo nirvana first. He would recover from his injuries first. After making his decision, Ning Qing directly spoke to Shi Qianghua. "Qianghua, this time I really have to thank you. If not for you, I'm afraid that I would have met with disaster." Shi Qianghua shook her head and spoke, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, you don't have to say such things. Back in the Seeking Dust Mountain, you risked your life to save me, so it is only right for me to help you." Slightly hesitating, Shi Qianghua continued, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, why don't you just call me junior apprentice sister Qianghua from now on?" Apparently, she felt that Ning Qing calling her Qianghua was a bit too intimate. Ning Qing's previous injuries were something that could not be helped. Ning Qing secretly sighed in his heart, if not for the Yu clan, how could Qianghua stand in front of him and not recognize him? Putting these sad thoughts aside, Ning Qing spoke up, "Junior apprentice sister Qianghua, we cannot continue to live here. I've heard what the two women said earlier. Living in this place is not safe for us. If we don't move, I'm afraid we'll be in danger." Ning Qing wandered outside all year round, as such, he had a lot more experience compared to Shi Qianghua. Although the two women did not directly force her, they would definitely use other methods to oppress Shi Qianghua. But where can we go? With my speed, once we leave the South Sword Rest Stop with you on my back, someone would immediately attack us. When I went to help you ask for medicine, I was almost intercepted by a man and a woman. This place is not safe at all. Shi Qianghua spoke with some worry. She also knew that this place was not safe, but she also knew that once they left the Sword Mountain path, she and Ning Qing would be in even more danger. "I know, I have a companion beast with good speed. Even ordinary celestial bridge cultivators would not be able to catch up to it. Once we leave the Sword Mountain path, you can quickly leave this place with your companion beast." Ning Qing spoke calmly. He also had a faster Starry Sky battleship, but a Starry Sky battleship was not a magical weapon. It was too big and too eye-catching. Using Chasing Bull to leave this place, it would be the best choice. Then where are we going? Shi Qianghua felt an inexplicable trust in Ning Qing's words. If Ning Qing said that they could leave, then they would definitely be able to leave. Ning Qing pondered for a moment before speaking, "After I go down, you can buy a jade strip map of this planet. I'll take a look at the position on the jade strip map." "Okay." Shi Qianghua responded with a simple tone, "When are we leaving?" "Right now." After Ning Qing finished this sentence, his spiritual consciousness swept out and found the waiter of the South Sword Rest Stop arriving at the door of their room, while simultaneously activating the restriction. Shi Qianghua opened the restriction and asked in doubt, "Is there something wrong?" The waiter stood at the door awkwardly and spoke, "I'm sorry, you too. Someone from our rest stop has booked this room, so you can only move out temporarily." Although Shi Qianghua had a mild temperament and rarely got angry, this waiter's words still made her face turn red with anger. This was clearly bullying. She had already paid 2 months' worth of rent to stay in this place. How long had she stayed here? It was simply outrageous to ask her to move out. Even if she wanted to leave, she still felt very uncomfortable in her heart. Ning Qing suddenly spoke up, "Then you can refund the rent to us." The waiter suddenly bowed and spoke, "I'm really sorry, but I can't make the decision. Our rest stop's deacon came, he said that the lodging fees of the tenants will not be refunded." Shi Qianghua could not bear it any longer. "If we had left on our own, then you would not have refunded it. But now you want to drive us away, yet you still want to deduct our room fees? The waiter's face turned a little red, and even after holding back for a long time, he still could not come up with an explanation, and spoke up again, "This is the decision of our deacon." Ning Qing smiled, "The room fees will not be refunded. By the way, do you have a jade strip for this planet? Can you sell it to me?" "Yes, yes." The waiter quickly took out a jade strip and handed it to Shi Qianghua. "This is my own, you don't need to pay any celestial coins." "Okay." Ning Qing motioned to Shi Qianghua to put away the jade strip, and then spoke to the waiter, "Go back and tell your deacon that Jiangzhou's Ning Qing sends his regards." Shi Qianghua suddenly thought that the two words Jiangzhou sounded very familiar, as if she had heard it somewhere before. After saying that, Ning Qing turned to Shi Qianghua and said, "Qianghua, let's go now." Ning Qing then called out Chasing Bull. The rest stop's waiter on seeing Ning Qing call out Chasing Bull did not find it strange. After all, many cultivators had companion beasts. Moreover, a black bull companion beast was not worth many celestial coins. As soon as Chasing Bull came out, it immediately cried out in shock, "Oh, Master, who the hell is this, to make Master suffer such heavy injuries? This old bull must swallow him." Ning Qing spoke up in an angry tone, "Less nonsense, let's go." Shi Qianghua understood Ning Qing's meaning. Ning Qing had originally planned to call out his companion beast after they left the Sword Mountain path. But Ning Qing called out his companion beast at this moment, which meant that he understood the urgency of the situation. She quickly stepped forward and put Ning Qing on her back. Not waiting for her to speak, Chasing Bull tactfully knelt on the ground and spoke, "Madam, please carry my master up. This old bull will walk very smoothly." Shi Qianghua's face turned red. She couldn't talk to this stupid bull without any moral integrity. Looking at Chasing Bull carrying Shi Qianghua downstairs, the waiter felt a strange feeling. He had never seen such an interesting companion beast before. Shi Qianghua sat on Chasing Bull's back and walked out of the South Sword rest stop with Ning Qing on her back. As soon as Ning Qing came out, he felt several spiritual consciousnesses falling on him. Apparently, these people were waiting for Shi Qianghua to come out and then chase after her out of the Sword Mountain path. That was because they knew that Shi Qianghua had to leave the Sword Mountain path. Since the South Sword rest stop did not dare to take her in, then other rest stops would not dare to take her in. "Master, where are we going?" Chasing Bull asked as soon as it came out of the rest stop. Ning Qing's spiritual consciousness had already scanned through Shi Qianghua's jade strip map and already knew where to go. Although Chasing Bull asked, he did not answer. Instead, he spoke to Shi Qianghua, "Qianghua, let Chasing Bull scan the jade strip." Ning Qing couldn't change his words, so Shi Qianghua could only let him do as he pleased. Since she already carried him on her back, why should she care about these details? After Chasing Bull scanned the jade strip, Ning Qing immediately sent a sound transmission to Chasing Bull. "On the periphery of the Sword Mountain path, there is a sword valley. Let's go to that place. Now, run as fast as you can. If I find someone following us, just wait for me to turn you into stew." Chasing Bull originally wanted to ask a few more questions, but after hearing Ning Qing's words, it did not dare to say a single word. It quickly spread its hooves and turned into an afterimage as it quickly disappeared into the cluster of castles along the Sword Mountain path. Several cultivators standing on the side of the road could not even sense its shadow before they saw Chasing Bull disappear without a trace. Such a fast speed. A cultivator subconsciously spoke up. But then he remembered his task and his expression suddenly changed. Quickly taking out a messenger flying sword, he wrote down a few words before quickly bringing out the flying sword. Then he stimulated his celestial essence and chased after Chasing Bull. On the Sword Mountain path, there were many cultivators waiting for Shi Qianghua and Ning Qing. Just as Ning Qing had guessed, some of them were cultivators arranged by the Yu clan to deal with the two of them. Yu Fei would come out and deal with these cultivators, forcing Shi Qianghua to go to the Yu clan. However, no one could have imagined that Shi Qianghua would move so quickly after leaving the South Sword rest stop. Even the best celestial-grade battleship would not be much faster than this. By the time these cultivators reacted, Chasing Bull had already left with Ning Cheng and Shi Qianghua. Not only that, but their spiritual consciousness could not even sweep into the place where Chasing Bull was. Facing an array formation Grand Master like Ning Cheng, it would have been a strange thing if their spiritual consciousness could track him. Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, where are we going? Shi Qianghua felt relieved when she saw Chasing Bull's speed. To the Sword Valley. As soon as Ning Cheng spoke the word Sword Valley, Shi Qianghua exclaimed in surprise. The jade strip indicated that the Sword Valley was filled with terrifying sword chi all year round, which meant that it was a desperate situation. Since they had already escaped, why would they go to a desperate situation like the Sword Valley? Chapter 6:17. Whether or not I can achieve nirvana through body forging, I want to see it. Ning Cheng replied softly. In fact, after Shi Qianghua asked that question, she immediately guessed why Ning Cheng wanted to go to Despair Sword Valley. Nirvana through body forging meant that there could be no construction without destruction. Ning Cheng most likely wanted to go to Despair Sword Valley because he feared that he would not be able to completely destroy it. Since Ning Cheng wanted to go to Despair Sword Valley to undergo nirvana, it meant that he had a very clear understanding of the principles of nirvana through body forging. Shi Qianghua did not continue to ask. Ning Cheng's warm voice brushed past her ear, making her feel a little uncomfortable. The Sword Valley was some distance away from the Sword Mountain path, and Chasing Bull feared that its master would turn it into stew. Not only did it speed up, but it also temporarily changed its habit of being long-winded. Ning Cheng silently deduced the nirvana body forging cultivation method on Shi Qianghua's back and naturally did not speak much. Only Shi Qianghua was left alone in her thoughts. Suddenly, she seemed to have remembered something and abruptly turned around in shock. Four sets of warm lips touching each other, causing Shi Qianghua to almost stop breathing. In just a moment, she reacted and quickly tilted her head to the side. At the same time, the shock from before also lessened a lot. Ning Cheng looked at Shi Qianghua and smiled, even if in Shi Qianghua's heart, he was just a friend she had just met. However, in his heart, Shi Qianghua would always be his wife. What did you want to say just now? Ning Cheng's words interrupted Shi Qianghua's embarrassment. Shi Qianghua remembered what she wanted to ask and spoke up eagerly, Senior Apprentice Brother Ning, you just mentioned Jiangzhou's Ning City. I remembered the Jiangzhou's wanderer who climbed to the 81st floor of the Celestial Scryer Tower in the Culmination Public Square. Ning Cheng did not hide anything from Shi Qianghua and nodded, yes, I'm that Jiangzhou's wanderer. Shi Qianghua gave out a long sigh. If Ning Cheng had not said it, she would never have thought that Ning Cheng was Jiangzhou's wanderer. She, Senior Apprentice Sister Yi, and even the entire Culmination Public Square, no, the entire Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City was talking about this cultivator in shock. The cultivator that her master wanted to meet, the cultivator that even Heavenly Emperor Leveled Heart wanted to know about. However, she actually carried such a person on her back. Who could predict what would happen in this world? She suddenly thought, if her master knew that Ning Cheng was a wanderer from Jiangzhou, and Senior Apprentice Brother Ning said that he liked her, would her master still tell Ning Cheng to get lost? But in any case, her master would never let her marry Ning Cheng. She was the everlasting Sacred Shrine's sacred lady, something that no one could change. Shi Qianghua had just left the Sword Mountain path with Ning Cheng when the news reached the Yu clan. Yu Fei knew that Shi Qianghua had escaped from the Sword Mountain path, causing his mood to sink. What he had imagined didn't happen. This female cultivator, whom he had taken a fancy to, didn't come to the Yu clan's fort happily like Yang Xian had said. Instead, she hurriedly ran away. Bitch, you don't know how to appreciate favors. Yang Xian's face no longer had that kind of warm smile from before. At this moment, other than coldness, there was only anger on her face. She felt that she had been insulted. As the wife of the Yu clan's eldest young master, Yu Fei, she had come to Shi Qionghua's door to speak about this matter, which was already giving her enough face. What's more, Yu Fei's aunt, a cultivator in the Celestial Bridge realm, had already arrived. How could they still give him any face? Unexpectedly, this woman not only did not agree to it, but also inexplicably escaped. Moreover, her speed of escape was so fast that she could only use one of the means she had prepared, which was to drive her out of the South Sword rest stop. Maybe this woman had already planned to leave, and the rest stop driving her away was just what she wanted. Husband, this person doesn't know how to appreciate favors. She's just a rogue cultivator, yet she doesn't even put the Yu clan in her eyes. You can rest assured that I will make her come here on her knees, begging to enter the Yu clan's door. Yang Xian spoke with hatred before standing up. Apparently, she wanted to deal with this matter personally. Yu Fei hesitated for a moment before speaking. That woman looks very gentle and demure. Don't scare her. Try to use gentle means. If Yu Fei initially thought about Shi Qionghuo, then now that Shi Qionghuo had left, he no longer thought about Shi Qionghuo. Instead, it was an uncontrollable yearning. Moreover, this yearning grew heavier and heavier as time passed. He even felt some regret. He should not have been too gentle in the beginning. He should have directly invited that female cultivator with a veil over her face to the Yu clan. There was a saying that the unattainable was the best, and this saying couldn't be more appropriate for Yu Fei. If Shi Qionghuo had easily married into his Yu clan, he might have liked her a lot, but he would never miss her as much as he did now. The Sword Valley was not famous because of the Sword Mountain path, but because of the Sword Chi despair. Over the years, too many sword cultivators came to the Sword Valley and the Sword Mountain path to comprehend the Tao of Swords. However, among the sword cultivators who went to the Sword Mountain path, only a few could truly comprehend the Tao of Swords. Moreover, among the sword cultivators who went to the Sword Valley, only a few could survive. In this place, there was a saying, if you don't want to live, then quickly go to the Sword Valley to comprehend the Tao of Swords. No place could meet your requirements. If you had an enemy, then lure him into the Sword Valley, because that way, you could take revenge. At this moment, Chasing Bull stopped at the entrance of a grayish valley. Just by standing at the entrance of the valley, one could feel bursts of sword chi invading, which made people shudder. Even Ning Cheng's starry sky sea of consciousness could not penetrate into the Sword Valley. Just by entering the entrance, one could not go any further. Some death chi overflowed from the Sword Valley, causing even a thick-skinned fool like Chasing Bull to shiver. Master, we've reached the Sword Valley, but I dare not go in. Chasing Bull spoke up pitifully. I know. After Ning Cheng responded, he turned to Shi Qionghuo and said, Qionghuo, take Chasing Bull to a safe place nearby and open up a cave. Remember to arrange the array disc I gave you at the entrance of the cave. If I have nothing to do, I will come out to find you. If I have something to do, let Chasing Bull take you away. While speaking, Ning Cheng took out a storage ring and handed it to Shi Qionghuo. There are some cultivation resources inside. You can take them. Ning Cheng even gave Shi Qionghuo the Starry Sky battleship. Shi Qionghuo hesitated for a while before finally nodding, I'll wait for you outside. She understood that since Ning Cheng had come to this place, he must have hardened his heart to reach nirvana. Since her persuasion was useless, she might as well not say anything. Watching Ning Cheng enter the Sword Valley while sitting on a middle-grade Dao artifact spear, Shi Qionghuo's mood suddenly sank. Since tearing open the interface with the breaking boundary talisman behind Ning Cheng's back, she had become accustomed to Ning Cheng's presence. Now that Ning Cheng suddenly entered the Sword Valley, it made her feel very uncomfortable. She felt as if her whole body had become empty, as if she had lost too many things. Chasing Bull did not have the heart to understand Shi Qionghuo's complex mood and spoke up from the side, Mistress, Master said that we should quickly find a place to hide. Master has already gone in. If you continue to stay here, it would only be a waste of time. Shi Qianghua couldn't argue with this stupid bull and could only look for a hidden place to dig out a cave. As soon as Ning Qing entered the Sword Valley, a cold and sharp sword qi directly cut through his robes. Shi Qianghua had carefully taken care of the wounds on his skin, which had already started to heal, once again tore open, causing blood to spurt out. Plop! Ning Qing fell from the spear to the ground, and several white skeletons, under Ning Qing's pressure, instantly turned into a cloud of flying ash. Ning Qing directly took out the rootless green bamboo and proceeded to undergo body forging nirvana according to his own deduction. However, as the grey-colored sword qi from the Sword Valley took away Ning Qing's flesh and blood, his bones continued to shatter. The rootless green bamboo could not even integrate into his flesh and blood. According to Ning Qing's body forging deduction, as he operated the body forging cultivation method, the sword qi would take away his flesh and blood and injure his bones. The rootless green bamboo would then integrate into his flesh and blood and cooperate with him undergoing nirvana, allowing his flesh and bones to regenerate and rejuvenate. However, the facts had nothing to do with Ning Qing's deduction. The rootless green bamboo could not integrate into Ning Qing's flesh and blood, nor could it cooperate with Ning Qing's body forging. At this time, Ning Qing had two paths in front of him. The first was to change to other treasures and materials to undergo nirvana, but he did not know if it would work or not. The second was to modify the body forging cultivation method and derive a new nirvana cultivation method. Ning Qing gave out a sigh. No matter which path he chose, his chances of falling were more than 90%. Deriving a body forging cultivation method from scratch was simply not realistic. Right now, not to mention deriving a body forging cultivation method, in just a short while, his small life would completely disappear. How could he deduce it? Changing to a body forging treasure, if he still failed, then he would still fall. With his severe injuries at this time, even if he used the essence of wood, he would not be able to save his corporeal body. Ning Qing did not continue to think about it. He directly took out the withered 9-colored mirage tree. Grabbing the mirage tree, he crazily operated the body forging cultivation method he derived, wanting the mirage tree to cooperate with his body forging. The raging grey-colored sword qi quickly submerged Ning Qing. In a place where Ning Qing was, from time to time, flames, lightning, water, and even ice and snow would appear. Under the cover of these things, neither the mirage tree nor Ning Qing could be seen. Time passed by quickly, and in a blink of an eye, 2 months passed by. The place where Ning Qing was located was surrounded by a variety of scenes, constantly changing, seemingly slowly moving towards the depths of the Sword Valley. However, Ning Qing never appeared again. Even the mirage tree that he had taken out was sucked into the depths of the Sword Valley. Another 2 months passed by, and Shi Qianghua, who had been cultivating carefully, finally could not help it. It had been 4 months since Ning Qing entered the Sword Valley, yet there was no news of him. Did something happen to him? Moreover, with the large number of perpetual moon pills that Ning Qing had left for her, as well as other medicinal pills, she managed to advance to the celestial Shatterer realm. Chasing Bull, I want to go to the entrance of the Sword Valley to see senior apprentice brother Ning. Shi Qianghua carefully asked Chasing Bull, who was sleeping soundly on the side. Chasing Bull muttered, "What's the use of you going there? If something happened to Master in the Sword Valley, can you save Master?" Listening to old Master's words, waiting here was the right thing to do. Master's ability is much higher than yours, how could something happen to him? Shi Qianghua was just about to speak when a loud rumble suddenly came from outside the cave. Shi Qianghua's expression changed, and Chasing Bull suddenly stood up and spoke up nervously, "Mistress, someone is attacking our cave." Don't look at its majestic words in front of Ning Qing. If someone really attacked, this thing would be the first to feel fear. Chapter 618. In just a moment, the defensive array disc arranged by Shi Qianghua gave out a slight "kacha" sound. Obviously, the defensive array disk would collapse in just a few breaths. Most of the defensive array disks that Ning Cheng had given to Shi Qianghua were grade 3 celestial arrays. Such defensive array disks would not last long in the face of attacks from celestial gatherer cultivators, not to mention the one attacking Shi Qianghua's immortal cave was a celestial bridge cultivator. What should I do? Chasing Bull did not have any idea and could only look at Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua did not have time to explain in detail. She directly flew over to Chasing Bull's back and spoke, "Don't worry about anything else. Just rush out now, at your fastest speed, without any hesitation or pause." Gotcha. Almost at the same time that the defensive array disc over Shi Qianghua's immortal cave broke, Chasing Bull shot out like a bolt of lightning. The cultivator who had broken Shi Qianghua's defensive array discs seemed to have prepared for it. As soon as Chasing Bull rushed out, it immediately chased after it, leaving only a gap between them. Ning Cheng was in a trance as he saw a variety of body-forging materials, moreover each and every one of them appeared in his mind. It seemed that as long as he thought of the best body-forging materials, they would immediately appear in front of him, and then integrate into his body, making his body even more durable. In that subconscious feeling, Ning Cheng knew that it must have been an illusion. This was because he himself wasn't sure if the materials in his mind really existed. However, he could not wake up from his own illusion. In his subconscious mind, as long as he woke up, the endless sword lights would tear him into nothingness. Although Ning Cheng knew that it might have been an illusion, he still grabbed all kinds of body-forging materials. Fire attributed, metal attributed, wood attributed. 5 attributed, different attributed. In the end, even top-grade starry sky materials, primal attributed body-forging materials, ended up in his hands. His body seemed to be going through all kinds of torment, going through all kinds of restructuring. This kind of feeling was simply unfathomable and mysterious. Not knowing for how long, the illusion around him suddenly disappeared, and Ning Cheng suddenly opened his eyes. The first thing he did was to check his body. He was shocked to find that apart from not even a single piece of clothing on his body, his skin was smooth and healthy, giving off a streamlined sense of beauty. Nirvana succeeded? Ning Cheng raised his arm and looked at it in amazement. The lines of muscles did not seem prominent, but they carried boundless power. It gave Ning Cheng the feeling that even if someone used a Dao artifact to attack him, it might not necessarily cause him to bleed. Although he knew that this feeling was not reliable, Ning Cheng still felt extremely excited in his heart. He felt sure that his body-forging nirvana had succeeded. With his current physical strength, if he experienced the explosion of the immortal Jade Star at this moment, he would not suffer any injuries to the extent that he would not be able to take care of himself. Several more sword chis shot over, but they only left white marks on Ning Cheng's body. However, they were unable to cut through Ning Cheng's body. Ning Cheng understood that he was still in the Sword Valley. He looked down and saw something standing at his feet. That's right, it really was the mirage tree that he had taken out for body forging. He remembered that after he had taken out the mirage tree for body forging, he had quickly fallen into that illusion. The mirage tree looked even more withered compared to before he had taken it out, and it had also become a bit thinner. Does the mirage tree really have the effect of refining one's body into nirvana? Ning Cheng was pleasantly surprised as he grabbed the mirage tree. He did not expect that the mirage tree not only had the effect of body forging nirvana, but also had such a powerful effect. He had initially thought that if the mirage tree could not help him undergo nirvana, he would use the essence of wood to restore his corporeal body and give up on this nirvana. In fact, after he used the mirage tree, he had completely fallen into the illusion. Not to mention using the essence of wood, he could not even heal himself. Fortunately, the mirage tree did not disappoint him, and really helped him undergo nirvana, otherwise, he would have died unjustly. Ning Cheng took in a deep breath in fear. Next time, he could not act so recklessly. It was simply too much. Carefully putting away the mirage tree, Ning Cheng looked around and found that this place was not the place where he had first started body forging, but rather the depths of the Sword Valley. During the process of undergoing nirvana, he had unknowingly walked into the depths of the Sword Valley. More than 10 meters away from him, there was a silver-gray skeleton. Ning Cheng walked over and found that this silver-gray skeleton was different from the other skeletons in this place. The other skeletons would turn into flying ash the moment they touched it, but this silver-gray skeleton was very hard. Even the ring on the skeleton's hand had not suffered any damage. Ning Cheng raised his hand and took off the ring, before breaking the restriction and sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness. When he saw the things inside the ring, he could not help but shake his head. He had never seen such a poor cultivator before. Inside the ring, there was only a broken high-grade Dao artifact and some materials. Apart from that, there were only a few jade strips. As for medicinal pills or celestial coins, there was nothing inside. Taking out one of the jade strips, Ning Cheng scanned through it and found that it recorded some cultivation information about this cultivator named Zhang Qiushui. From this jade strip, one could see that this cultivator named Zhang Qiushui was a very meticulous person. All the resources he obtained were used for body forging. The reason why he was so obsessed with body forging was that Zhang Qiushui always thought that his body forging cultivation method was first class within the entire starry skies. Ning Cheng put down the ring and quickly found the body forging cultivation method that Zhang Qiushui considered to be first class. As for the body forging cultivation method in this jade strip, Ning Cheng did not care about it. What made him happy was that this jade strip recorded the body forging cultivation method after undergoing nirvana. When a cultivator cultivated to the 9th level of the god body, they would have to rely on external objects to achieve nirvana. After achieving nirvana, the body would be called the celestial body. The celestial body was divided into 4 realms: early stage, mid-stage, late stage and full circle. After surpassing the celestial body, one would be called the celestial river body. The celestial river body was also divided into 4 realms. After the celestial river body was the starry sky body. In theory, once a cultivator reached the starry sky body forging realm, they would be in a perfect state and would never be able to advance again. Ning Cheng was overjoyed. He had used the mirage tree to undergo nirvana, at least in terms of body forging, there was no mistake. The only doubt he had was that even after he underwent nirvana, the mirage tree was still there. Moreover, he had indeed undergone nirvana. Not only had he undergone nirvana, but the strength of his physical body had also reached the middle stage of the celestial body realm. From this, it could be seen that not only was the body forging cultivation method that he deduced quite good, but the effect of using the mirage tree to undergo nirvana was even more perfect. Combining his cultivation method with the cultivation method recorded on this jade strip, Ning Cheng felt that he should explore deeper into the Sword Valley. In the deeper parts of the Sword Valley, he might be able to advance further. Thinking until here, Ning Cheng immediately helped himself clean up, and at the same time changed a set of clothes. Even if he wanted to go in, he had to first greet Shi Qianghua. After undergoing nirvana, the sword qi, which could have easily torn him apart, under the protection of his body-forging celestial essence, could only scratch the surface of his clothes and could not cause any harm to him. Ning Cheng quickly rushed out of the Sword Valley and took out the time-setting artifact to scan it. Only then did he realize that half a year had passed since he underwent nirvana. Initially, Ning Cheng had thought that it would take at most a month, but he did not expect that it would take so long. Ning Cheng suddenly felt anxious. When he went in, Shi Qianghua only had a celestial novice cultivation. Even if Shi Qianghua used perpetual moon pills to cultivate, she would have already advanced to the celestial shadow realm. After such a long time, Ning Cheng felt very worried about whether the people from the Yu clan could find her. Sweeping out with his spiritual consciousness, in just a few breaths, Ning Cheng found the cave that Shi Qianghua had dug out. At the entrance of the cave was a broken defensive array disc, which he had previously given to Shi Qianghua. However, at this time, the defensive array disc was broken and casually discarded at the entrance of the cave. Ning Cheng's heart sank. did someone find Shi Qionghua's cave? Now that Shi Qionghua was not here, where did she go? Feeling anxious, Ning Qing immediately took out the communications pearl. As soon as the communications pearl came out from the mysterious yellow bead's minor 5-element world, it received an intermittent message, "I'm eroding." Cliff, the message definitely came from Shi Qionghua. Most likely, it had been too long since he had found the array formation to receive the communications pearl, causing the message to collapse. Ning Qing knew that the communications pearl he had given to Shi Qionghua in his ring was a middle-grade Dao artifact, something that he had crafted himself. Moreover, this kind of communications pearl was of a good grade. Even if he could not find the receiving communications pearl, it would take at least 2 or 3 months for the message to completely collapse. Moreover, Shi Qionghua's message only contained a few fragmented words. From this, it could be seen that Shi Qionghua had sent the message at least 2 months ago. Ning Qing felt extremely anxious in his heart. He had no idea where the eroding cliff was. He wanted to ask if there were any other places in the vicinity besides the Sword Mountain Path. Ning Qing once again returned to the Sword Mountain Path. The shop assistant at the entrance of the South Sword Rest Stop greeted every guest with a smile. When he saw a blue-robed cultivator coming over, he raised his hand and spoke from afar, "Friend from afar, the South Sword Rest Stop is the best place for you to stay." The shop assistant's words came to an abrupt end, as he recognized Ning Qing. "It's you." The shop assistant looked at Ning Qing standing in front of him in amazement. Half a year ago, a female cultivator with a veil over her face had come over with this male cultivator on her back. At that time, he only knew that this male cultivator was seriously injured and could not even move on his own. Later, because of the pressure from the Yu clan, the South Sword Rest Stop forcibly drove the 2 guests away. The South Sword Rest Stop's deacon even refused to refund the rent to the 2 cultivators. The reason was very simple. Once they fell into the hands of the Yu clan, even if they managed to survive, they would only end up as dogs. How could they come back to the South Sword Rest Stop just for the rent? Although the South Sword Rest Stop was sincere in doing business, they were not willing to give away the money that they had picked up. Ning Qing smiled, "Yes, it's me. The last time I asked you to greet your steward, did you call him? This. The shop assistant panicked for a long time, but could not say anything. Ning Qing patted the shop assistant's shoulder and spoke, "It doesn't matter if you didn't say it. When your deacon comes, you can talk to him about it. Just tell him what I said last time. Today, I came here to ask you about 2 things. The first is the female cultivator who carried me out of the rest stop. Do you have any news about her? The second is the eroding cliff. Or rather, it is not called the eroding cliff, but something else." Chapter 6:19. Senior, I. The shop assistant stuttered even more. Ning Qing had a smile on his face, but even a low-level cultivator like him could feel the intense murderous intent. "Don't you want to say it?" Ning Qing's gaze turned cold. No. The shop assistant answered while carefully looking around, before speaking in a lower voice, "Senior, I know the place you mentioned, it's called Eroding Life Cliff. That place is as terrifying as the Sword Valley. I heard that once you reach the Eroding Life Cliff, you can only watch your lifespan disappear, and then die inside, never to come out. Where is the Eroding Life Cliff? Why didn't you give me this location in the Jade Strip map last time?" Ning Cheng's heart tightened. He remembered the Sea of Twilight. When he and another female cultivator entered the Sea of Twilight, their lifespan had also disappeared uncontrollably. The shop assistant quickly explained, the location on the map is called Longevity Valley, which was originally parallel to the Sword Valley. One is a desperate situation, while the other is a surpassing realm. Many cultivators go to the Longevity Valley to cultivate, because cultivating in the Longevity Valley for a few decades feels like a year or 2 after coming out. But I don't know what happened, but hundreds of years ago, the Longevity Valley suddenly lost its longevity. Not only did the cultivators lose their longevity, but the lifespan of the cultivators who went in also consumed very quickly. No matter how long a cultivator lived, after a few days, their lifespan would dry up and they would automatically die. Later, someone cast a stone tablet at the entrance of the Longevity Valley, calling it Eroding Life Cliff. But because of the long history of the Longevity Valley, apart from the stone tablet at the Eroding Life Cliff, the Jade Strip map still calls it Longevity Valley. Probably afraid of Ning Cheng, the shop assistant spoke very fluently, without even the slightest stutter. Ning Cheng nodded and continued to ask, "Do you know where the woman who carried me on her back went? Or did you hear any news?" The shop assistant whispered, "I heard that Yu Clan's housekeeper, Yu Tingji, and Yu Clan's Yuzhini went out. I don't know if they chased after that woman, but after a few days, they came back alone and did not bring anyone back." "When did this happen?" "More than 2 months ago." Ning Cheng completely understood. He took out 10 perpetual moon pills and handed them to the shop assistant. "Thank you for your help. I'll come back in a few days." When the shop assistant saw the perpetual moon pills in his hands almost trembled, and his eyes turned red with excitement. These were perpetual moon pills, moreover, there were 10 of them. When he saw Ning Cheng turn around, he seemed to have thought of something and quickly called out, "Senior." Ning Cheng looked back at the shop assistant with a puzzled look. This shop assistant was a good person, but he was very timid, he did not know why he had called out to him. The shop assistant quickly put the perpetual moon pills into his ring before speaking, "Senior, you cannot enter the Longevity Valley right now. If you want to enter Longevity Valley, you have to wait until tomorrow. Today is a Yang day, so Longevity Valley is completely sealed. You can only enter on a Yin day." Ning Cheng nodded and thanked the shop assistant, before he turned around and quickly left. Although the time here was also calculated by months, there was no such thing as odd or even days, only Yin and Yang days. Originally, Ning Cheng wanted to go to the Eroding Life Cliff immediately, but the shop assistant said that he would not be able to go in today, so he planned to go there tomorrow. Today, he wanted to collect some interest first. When it came to the Sword Mountain Path's Yu Clan, everyone knew that it was the #1 clan of the Sword Mountain Path. Even in the rugged Pillar Star, it was considered to be famous. With the Yu Clan's strength, they could easily settle down in the most prosperous city of the rugged Pillar Star. Even owning a city was not impossible for them. However, the Yu Clan chose to settle down in the Sword Mountain Path. No one knew why, but the only explanation was that this place was very famous and was once a place to comprehend the Tao of Swords. With the Yu Clan's strength, if they chose to settle down in the Sword Mountain Path, then the imposing manner of their entrance would naturally not be too low. Compared to the imposing manner of the surrounding castles, the Yu Clan's entrance was clearly a few notches better. Ning Cheng easily found the Yu Clan. He had just walked to the entrance of the castle's outer courtyard when a cultivator stopped him. "Please wait, who is this friend looking for?" Ning Cheng spoke up in a calm voice, "I received an invitation to see Yuzhini." When the cultivator at the entrance heard that Ning Cheng had come to see Yuzhini, his face immediately turned respectful. Yuzhini was a celestial bridge cultivator and had a high status in the Yu Clan. Since this cultivator said that he was looking for Yuzhini, how could he dare to neglect him? "This junior will go and report to senior." The cultivator at the entrance quickly bowed, while changing his tone to a respectful one. Ning Cheng's face sank. "Yuzhini invited me here, yet you still want to report?" The cultivator guarding the door trembled in fear and quickly spoke up, "Senior, Elder Yu and I are in the middle of a meeting, please forgive me." Just as his voice fell, Ning Cheng's figure flashed beside him, and when he looked again, Ning Cheng's shadow had already disappeared. The cultivator guarding the door was right, the Yu Clan was indeed in the middle of a meeting. However, this was not the Yu Clan's clan meeting, but a meeting between Yuzhini, Yu Fei, Yu Tingji, Yang Xian and several other cultivators from the Yu Clan. "I can't find her origin." That female cultivator seemed to have appeared out of thin air. I have also seen the perpetual moon pills she exchanged with the Sword Mountain Invigorating Spring Pavilion, and they were all top-grade perpetual moon pills. A middle-aged female cultivator spoke up. She was Eugenie, who had gone to the South Sword rest stop with Yang Xian. Yu Fei sighed and did not speak. Ever since he learned that the female cultivator he admired had fled to the Longevity Valley, his mood had been extremely low. Compared to the perpetual moon pills, he was more concerned about the woman he had saved. Husband, the Yu clan will need you to support it in the future. Good women are everywhere, and Xian will definitely find a better woman for husband. Young Xian, on seeing Yu Fei sigh, comforted him with some worry. At this moment, an abrupt voice arrived. No need to look for one, I think you're not bad. Who is it? Almost all the people in the room stood up and looked towards the door. Since this place was in the middle of a meeting, it meant that there were restrictions around it. However, the cultivator who spoke broke through the restrictions and walked in, and none of them noticed it. It was an incredible thing. Hey, it's you. Eugenie and Yang Xian both exclaimed as they recognized Ning Cheng. Up until now, Ning Cheng had always worn a face-changing mask and still looked the same as when he was in the South Sword rest stop. Ning Cheng's gaze swept through the room and fell on Eugenie, before speaking up unhurriedly, I came here today to help with a marriage. Yang Xian subconsciously spoke up, are you here to help that female cultivator propose a marriage? Did she finally figure it out? No, didn't she enter the Longevity Valley? What's going on? Ning Cheng slowly walked towards Yang Xian and spoke up with a smile, no, I'm here to help you propose a marriage. Help me propose a marriage? Yang Xian repeated the words in confusion. Ning Cheng nodded, yes, I'm here to help you propose a marriage. I think you're good enough and decided to accept you as my 138th concubine. To show my sincerity, I came to the Yu clan personally to propose a marriage. By the way, this is the betrothal gift. After saying that, Ning Cheng waved out a pile of perpetual moon pills, which contained at least hundreds of thousands of perpetual moon pills. The terrifying pill chi from the perpetual moon pills filled the air, and the people in the room immediately shifted away from their anger. One by one, they stared at the pile of perpetual moon pills in the middle of the room with red eyes. Ning Cheng slapped his head and spoke up with some annoyance, look at me, I could have just taken out the betrothal gift, but I didn't even take out a small pile. While speaking, Ning Cheng's hand once again moved, and the pile of perpetual moon pills disappeared without a trace. Or rather, except for a single perpetual moon pill, the rest of the perpetual moon pills had disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng raised his hand and pinched the perpetual moon pill before speaking, this perpetual moon pill is my betrothal gift, please don't despise it. After saying that, Ning Cheng placed the perpetual moon pill in front of Yang Xian. A burst of sounds of saliva being swallowed emerged. Eugenie did not even bother to speak a word of nonsense and rushed towards Ning Cheng. At the same time, the weapon also shot out countless rays of light. These rays of light could easily blow up the entire room. From this, one could see that in front of perpetual moon pills, any room was worthless. An intense murderous intent enveloped Ning Cheng. It felt as if as long as Ning Cheng moved even a little, this terrifying murderous intent would tear him to pieces. Ning Cheng did not move, not because he was afraid of being torn apart by this murderous intent, but because he disdained moving. He didn't even take out his Dharma treasures and just punched out with a backhand. An even more terrifying domain and axe intense murderous intent spread out and instantly enveloped all the cultivators in the room. In front of Ning Cheng's powerful murderous intent, Eugenie's murderous intent was like a very thin balloon that burst in an instant. Her domain couldn't even compare to a balloon and was completely suppressed by Ning Cheng's domain. Bang! After Ning Cheng's punch tore through Eugenie's murderous light, it directly landed on Eugenie's body. Eugenie spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, and all the meridians in her body ruptured. Her life essence had just overflowed when Ning Cheng's celestial river domain twisted it and disappeared without a trace. Pata. A lifeless corpse fell to the ground, causing everyone to hold their breaths as they stared at Eugenie's corpse on the ground. Who the hell was this person? In just a single exchange, he killed Eugenie, a celestial bridge cultivator. Moreover, Eugenie took the initiative to attack. What kind of cultivation was this? Ning Cheng clapped his hands. Even if you don't want my betrothal gift, you still can't kill me. Really? Ah. Yang Xian screamed, only then did she react to Ning Cheng's terrifying strength. At this moment, Ning Cheng's gaze landed on her. She subconsciously trembled and immediately put away the perpetual moon pill in front of her. Looking at Ning Cheng with a sweet smile, she spoke, "My husband, I agree to your marriage proposal. From now on, Xian will be yours." Her tone was coquettish and soft, as if Ning Cheng was her everything. Ning Cheng felt a little stunned. How could there be such a woman? She actually agreed to his marriage proposal in front of her husband. Originally, seeing Ning Cheng kill Eugenie so easily, Yu Fei had already panicked and became angry. Now that he saw Yang Xian's appearance, he became even more furious and spat out a mouthful of blood. He had always been proud of having such an understanding woman as Yang Xian as his wife. He never expected that his proud wife would actually agree to someone else's marriage proposal in front of him. Chapter 620. Yang Xian did not care about Yu Fei at all. Her pair of pretty eyes stared at Ning Cheng. Those eyes seemed to be able to speak, and the worship and desire in her heart were written all over her face. Why did she follow Yu Fei? Wasn't it for a lot of cultivation resources? The Yu clan's ability in the Sword Mountain path not only allowed her to live a higher life than others, but it also allowed her to cultivate easily. Otherwise, she was not an idiot. To please her man, why would she take the initiative to help him find women? This cultivator in front of her had just taken out a pile of perpetual moon pills. Coupled with his terrifying attacks, wouldn't it be better for her to follow him than to stay in the Yu clan? Dual cultivation was even more beneficial to her. Wouldn't it be the same for her to dual cultivate with anyone? As long as it could satisfy her cultivation needs, it didn't matter who the man was. She did not doubt Ning Cheng's words. She had confidence in herself. Even with the high vision of the Yu clan's young master, didn't she still manage to capture him? It was normal for this cultivator, who killed Eugenie with a single move, to take a fancy to her. It would have been strange if he did not take a fancy to her. Thinking back to the young veiled girl who followed this cultivator in front of her, this cultivator had given her a pile of perpetual moon pills. Wasn't she several times stronger than that young girl? If she followed this cultivator in front of her, wouldn't her cultivation rise by leaps and bounds? Ning Cheng shook his head speechlessly and no longer bothered to talk nonsense with this Yang Xian. Regardless of whether Yang Xian wanted to approach him through this method or if she really fancied his cultivation resources, he did not put this woman in his eyes. Glancing at the rest of the panicked people in the room, Ning Cheng spoke up, "Who else could have forced my wife into the eroding life cliff other than Eugenie?" Everyone turned to look at a middle-aged man, who spoke up in a stern voice, "And your ancestor Yu Tingji." As he spoke, a huge cone-shaped weapon shot towards Ning Cheng. He knew that he would not be able to face a cultivator like Ning Cheng, so he might as well go all out. An early-stage celestial bridge cultivator, in front of Ning Cheng, was not enough. Ning Cheng took a step forward with his left foot and once again punched out with an axe fist. This time, his axe fist did not engulf the cultivators in the room, instead, it completely wrapped around Yu Tingji. The gap in strength could not be made up with bravery. Yu Tingji and Ning Cheng both had celestial bridge cultivation, however, the strength of the two was not on the same level. Ning Cheng had only taken a slight step forward, but Yu Tingji's entire body had already turned sluggish. He could only watch Ning Cheng's punch tear through his domain and land on his dantian. Bang! Yu Tingji's corpse fell onto Eugenie's body like a broken sack. None of the remaining people in the room dared to speak, and none of them dared to move. Even Yu Fei, who was angered by his wife to the point of vomiting blood, looked at Ning Qing sluggishly. He did not know how he managed to provoke such a ruthless person for the Yu clan. Ning Qing did not continue, he just glanced at Yu Fei and spoke in a cold voice, "Thank you for saving my wife once, so I will spare you today. For your sake, I won't kill your woman. Your Yu clan's people forced my wife into the eroding life cliff, and I have already taken revenge. From now on, I have nothing to do with your Yu clan. If your Yu clan wants to find me for revenge, then feel free to come. I'll be waiting." Saying that, Ning Qing turned around and disappeared in a few steps. Seeing Ning Qing disappear, the people in the room suddenly sobered up. They had all picked up their small lives. Yang Xian screamed, "You must find the ancestor to avenge our Yu clan." "Shut up." Yu Fei's face turned even more livid, as he stared at Yang Xian and roared. Yang Xian subconsciously shuddered, only then did she remember that this was the first time Yu Fei had spoken to her in such an angry tone. Her eyes turned red, and tears flowed down like a waterfall. "My husband, please kill me, I have lost your face." "Why? Yang Xian, why? Why are you like this? How many times have you said that you are willing to die for me? How many times have you said that without me, you would be dead even if you lived? But today, you..." Yu Fei stared at Yang Xian's pale face, as he spoke word by word. Yang Xian's face turned pale, as she tightly closed her lips and did not say a single word. "Why don't you say it?" Yu Fei screamed out in a hoarse voice. His aunt, Eugenie, and his housekeeper, Yu Tingji, were killed, indirectly, because of Yang Xian. Initially, after he saved that girl, he did not think too much about it. If not for Yang Xian, he might not have even thought about that woman. Who knew that that woman not only had a husband, but was also such a terrifying cultivator? If that person had not remembered his life-saving grace, not only this room, but perhaps even the entire Yu clan would have perished. Not to mention that the Yu clan's ancestor had not advanced to Heaven's Mandate Realm. Even if the ancestor had advanced to Heaven's Mandate Realm, he most likely would not be this person's opponent. At that time, the Yu clan would have turned to dust. Even if he wanted to take revenge, he would have to wait until he was strong enough. However, Yang Xian not only threw herself into the arms of another man in front of him, but also called out the ancestor and turned the Yu clan into ashes. "Young master, I guess that young madam wanted to exchange her life for young master's safety. It's just that I didn't expect that cultivator to stop." A yellow-bearded man with a celestial gatherer cultivation stood up and comforted him. "Elder brother Can, don't say it." As soon as Yang Xian spoke, tears started flowing down her cheeks like big and small beads falling onto a jade plate. Yu Fei felt his heart tighten. Only then did he remember that there was a possibility of such a situation. With Yang Xian's kindness towards him, it was normal for her to make such a decision at such a critical moment. Otherwise, why would she blurt out asking the ancestor to come out in that kind of situation? It was because she hated the cultivator who had just arrived and feared that she had suffered some grievances. If she were truly selfish, she would have already tried to defend herself when he questioned her about it. In fact, Yang Xian would rather be scolded by him than defend herself. Perhaps she felt guilty for making such a decision without considering his feelings. "Xian, you." Yu Fei called out with some hesitation. Yang Xian sobbed even more. Yu Fei felt sure that he had not guessed wrong. Yang Xian had indeed abandoned herself for his safety. "I'm sorry, Xian, Yu Fei felt a little touched. Yang Xian seemed to no longer be able to control the grievances in her heart and burst into tears in Yu Fei's arms. After a while, under the comfort of Yu Fei, she sobbed softly, "As long as my husband advances to the heaven-seated realm in the future, I can avenge Xian today." Yang Xian's resentment towards Ning Qing was not fake at all. She had thought that Ning Qing would take her away, but she never expected that Ning Cheng would not even bother to look at her. It was entirely to take revenge on her for proposing marriage to him. He was purposely making fun of her. If she, young Xin, could advance to the heaven-seated realm in the future, she would first capture this person and then humiliate and torture him. South Sword Rest Stop. A fat man had just walked to the door when the shop assistant greeted him. "Greetings, Sir Deacon." The man nodded. He felt very satisfied with this shop assistant. Not only did he do things on the spot, but he also managed to satisfy the customers. "Sir Deacon." The shop assistant seemed to hesitate. The fat man frowned slightly. "Is this your first day here? If you have something to say, just say it. Don't beat around the bush." When the shop assistant heard this, he quickly spoke up. "Sir Deacon, half a year ago, didn't a female cultivator come to our rest stop with a man on her back? Later, our rest stop persuaded her to leave. There was such a thing, what about it?" The fat man stopped. This incident left a deep impression on him. After all, the South Sword Rest Stop was a very honest place. There weren't many people who didn't even refund the room fees when they were dissuaded. That was because he knew that the two guests would fall into the hands of the Yu clan after they left. As such, refunding the room fees would not make any difference. Therefore, he did not even pay attention to it after the incident. The shop assistant spoke up in a respectful tone. At that time, the guest carried by the female cultivator said a few words to Sir Deacon, saying that Jiangzhou's Ning City would come back to greet Sir Deacon. I was too busy at that time and forgot about it. I didn't expect that the cultivator would come here again today and ask me to bring the same words to Sir Deacon. It just so happened that Sir Deacon came. Oh, there's such a thing. Didn't they say that the male cultivator was seriously injured and had difficulty moving? The fat deacon frowned even more. He naturally understood that the shop assistant did not forget about it last time, but rather did not take the words to heart. The reason why the shop assistant mentioned it today was that this person really came back. The shop assistant carefully replied, "I don't see any injuries on him. He should have recovered. Where is he?" The fat deacon's expression turned dignified. Since this person dared to come to the Sword Mountain path and even brought this message, it meant that he was not afraid of Gong Liangle. The shop assistant replied, "I'm not very clear," but he inquired about the location of the Longevity Valley. As for the possibility of Ning Cheng going to the Yu clan, the shop assistant did not say anything. It was not that he did not want to say it, but he did not want to put himself in danger. If Ning Cheng went to the Yu clan, then it must have been because of his words. He had said that Eugenie and Yutingji had gone out, most likely to look for that woman. Once the deacon knew that he was the one who leaked the information, wouldn't it mean offending the Yu clan? He was not that stupid. At that time, he had no choice but to say it, but it was impossible for him to tell others about the matter of him leaking the secret. Sure enough, the eroding life cliff could not be entered. Ning Cheng could only see a milky white cliff, and his spiritual consciousness could not penetrate even half a bit. Ning Cheng did not force his way into the cliff, fearing that something might happen. The night quickly passed by. As Ning Cheng stood in front of this milky white cliff, he could clearly see that this milky white cliff began to slowly melt, and soon this incomparably hard cliff turned into a grayish-white mist. The mist was hazy, and Ning Cheng felt sure that if an ordinary celestial bridge cultivator came here, his spiritual consciousness would not be able to penetrate it. Even with his powerful sea of consciousness, his spiritual consciousness could only penetrate a range of 3 to 10 feet. After the milky white cliff melted away, Ning Cheng did not hesitate and directly rushed into the hazy mist. Chapter 621. As soon as Ning Cheng came in, he felt his lifespan disappear without a trace. What a terrifying eroding life cliff. Just as the shop assistant said, staying here for a few days, anyone with a long lifespan would eventually run out. Moreover, Ning Cheng also felt that this place and the Sea of Twilight were two completely different things. This place simply consumed one's lifespan, without any laws to comprehend or feel. What one felt in the Sea of Twilight was not the consumption of one's lifespan, but the passage of time. It was an essential difference. In other words, in this place, one's lifespan was constantly consuming, while in the Sea of Twilight, the surrounding time was rapidly flowing away. Feeling the rapid consumption of his lifespan, Ning Cheng felt extremely worried. Even a cultivator like him, who had touched the surface of the laws of time, could not stop the rapid consumption of his lifespan. Would Shi Qianghua be lucky enough to come in? At this time, Ning Cheng no longer cared about the damage to his celestial essence and sea of consciousness. Forcibly releasing his spiritual consciousness, he rushed forward. After half an incense stick worth of time, Ning Cheng suddenly stopped. He saw Chasing Bull, and then Shi Qianghua. Chasing Bull no longer had any spirit at this time, and even though it had fallen to the ground, it still had a trace of life. Shi Qianghua sat about 2 feet away from Chasing Bull, motionless. There was no aura, no life fluctuations. Similarly, her appearance and hair had not changed. Although the eroding life cliff consumed her lifespan, it did not take away her beauty. Ning Cheng took a step forward and arrived beside Shi Qianghua. Wrapping his hand around Shi Qianghua, he grabbed Chasing Bull with his other hand and crazily stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds before turning around and rushing out. In just a dozen breaths, Ning Cheng once again rushed out of the eroding life cliff. You can come out of the eroding life cliff? A cultivator passing by the eroding life cliff looked at Ning Cheng in shock. It was not that there were no cultivators who came out of the eroding life cliff, but each of them was a world-shaking character. But today, he actually met one. The cultivator was also carrying a female cultivator in his arms and a giant cow. Ning Cheng was not in the mood to explain anything to this cultivator. With a wave of the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, he instantly disappeared without a trace. His divine sense forcibly swept out, and could even touch a distance of 200 to 300 feet. In addition, he did not enter too deep into the eroding life cliff, so how could he not find the way out? However, Ning Cheng was not surprised by that cultivator's surprise. Inside the eroding life cliff, if one's spiritual consciousness could not see anything, and if one went too deep, it would indeed be difficult to find the exit. Ning Cheng did not go far, before he found a dilapidated immortal cave in a valley. After leaving a few defensive array discs at the entrance of the cave, Ning Cheng quickly entered the cave and threw Chasing Bull on the ground. Many thanks, Master, for saving me. Chasing Bull, who had lost 2 months of its lifespan in the eroding life cliff, could still speak. It truly deserved the name Longevity Bull. Ning Cheng took out a jade bottle containing a drop of first glimmer of dawn ice essence and threw it to Chasing Bull. Refine this drop of first glimmer of dawn ice essence and go to the side to recover. He didn't know if the first glimmer of dawn ice essence could restore Chasing Bull's lifespan, but since it had aged in the Sea of Twilight, the first glimmer of dawn ice essence had a significant effect on it. Since he was consuming his lifespan here, it should have some effect. Chasing Bull bit the jade bottle containing the first glimmer of dawn ice essence and quickly hid to the side. Although entering the eroding life cliff was the will of its matriarch, it did not have the ability to escape with its matriarch. If the old master vented his anger on him, that would be bad. Ning Cheng continuously put 3 drops of first glimmer of dawn ice essence into Shi Qianghua's mouth. The moment the first glimmer of dawn ice essence entered Shi Qianghua's mouth, it instantly turned into a spiritual liquid. However, Shi Qianghua showed no signs of waking up. However, after Chasing Bull swallowed a drop of the first glimmer of dawn ice essence, it stood up in high spirits. Ning Cheng looked at Chasing Bull in doubt. Since the first glimmer of dawn ice essence works so well for you, why doesn't it work for Qianghua? Master, the second day after Matriarch went in, she sealed her own vitality with a secret technique. Chasing Bull quickly replied. Sealed her own vitality with a secret technique? Ning Cheng felt even more confused. I don't know. It was what Matriarch said before she sealed her vitality. Matriarch said that instead of letting her lifespan slowly erode in this place, it would be better to seal her own vitality a step earlier. Once one's vitality is sealed, one's lifespan would automatically disappear. The eroding life cliff consumes one's lifespan in the first place. If one's lifespan runs out, there would naturally be no way to consume it. Chasing Bull relayed Shi Qionghua's words to Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng remained silent. After all, the first glimmer of dawn ice essence could not bring people back to life. Although Shi Qionghu sealed her vitality with a secret technique, it was no different from dying. However, he felt sure that the first glimmer of dawn ice essence would still help Shi Qionghua's body. Although Shi Qionghu did not have even the slightest bit of aura, Ning Cheng felt sure that Shi Qionghu had not died. He could feel Shi Qionghua's spiritual soul, however, with her spiritual soul sealed away, she could not recover for a while. In any case, he had to save Qionghu. Perhaps he could take Qionghu back to the everlasting sacred shrine. After all, Shi Qionghu had learned the forbidden technique from the everlasting sacred shrine. But how could he get to the everlasting sacred shrine? Right, refining the starry sky wheel. Thinking of the starry sky wheel, Ning Cheng immediately thought of another treasure in his collection, the essence of wood. Ning Cheng did not hesitate and took out the essence of wood. Placing the essence of wood on Shi Qionghua's glabella, Ning Cheng began to help Shi Qionghua's body integrate with the essence of wood. 3 days later, the essence of wood in Ning Cheng's hand turned into nothingness. But to Ning Cheng's surprise, Shi Qionghua's complexion turned ruddy, no longer pale like before. Not only that, Shi Qionghua's body also turned soft and not as stiff as before. This gave Ning Cheng a huge boost in confidence. He immediately communicated with the underworld crow ghost Rattan King. How could he obtain the essence of wood again? It was just that Ning Cheng's underworld crow ghost Rattan King's level was still too low. Ning Cheng could only vaguely understand that the underworld crow ghost Rattan King had spent countless years to condense the essence of wood. If he wanted to obtain the essence of wood again, it would take a lot of time and the accumulation of heavenly treasures. Knowing that the essence of wood was extremely difficult to obtain, Ning Cheng felt a lot more relaxed. He feared that he would not have a direction. With a direction, he felt confident that he could help Qionghu restore her longevity and spiritual soul. He picked up Shi Qionghu and prepared to find a safe place to open an immortal cave and refine the starry sky wheel. At this moment, he unexpectedly felt Shi Qionghua's pulse beating. This made Ning Cheng happy. Since her pulse was beating, it meant that Shi Qionghua's essence spirit was sealed by her own secret technique. As long as he found a way, he could wake Shi Qionghu up completely. Maybe even without going to the everlasting sacred shrine, he could wake Shi Qionghu up. The Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky's largest starland was naturally the Spirit Heaven Starland. However, the most famous place in the Spirit Heaven Starry Sky was not the Spirit Heaven Starry Sky City, but the Nine Phoenix Palace on the Nine Phoenix Emperor Mountain. The Spirit Heaven Starry Sky City was the largest starry sky city in the Spirit Heaven Starland. However, the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky's premier eternal-level Starry Sky Emperor Yi Jiufeng did not live in the Spirit Heaven Starry Sky City but in the Nine Phoenix Emperor Mountain. On the Nine Phoenix Emperor Mountain, there was also a luxurious and magnificent palace, called the Nine Phoenix Palace. The Nine Phoenix Palace was Yi Jiufeng's residence. A hearty laughter resounded outside the Nine Phoenix Emperor Mountain. Chuan Xinlo came to visit junior apprentice sister Nine Phoenix. Junior apprentice sister Nine Phoenix closed the mountain gate, which is not the proper way to welcome guests. The voice had just ended when a red-robed Yi Jiufeng appeared outside the Nine Phoenix Emperor Mountain and spoke to a middle-aged Confucian scholar with cupped fists. Brother Leveled Heart has come from afar, so this little sister will naturally treat you as an honored guest. It's just that this little sister doesn't know if Brother Leveled Heart came here to find trouble with this little sister. This little sister has already said that no one can take away the Wind Thunder Apricot. Chuan Xinlo, wearing a Confucian robe, stood in the void. The Confucian robe on his body fluttered without any wind, giving him an unrestrained look. When he heard Yi Jiufeng's words, he laughed again and spoke, "Junior apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix is overthinking things. I didn't come here for the wind thunder apricot. If it were for the wind thunder apricot, I would have already taken action on the immortal jade star. I would not have waited until now to come here. Brother leveled heart, let's get straight to the point. Since you didn't come here for the wind thunder apricot, then why did you come here?" Yi Jiufeng did not have any intention of letting Chuan Xinluo enter the 9 Phoenix Emperor Mountain. Chuan Xinluo showed a faint smile and spoke without any care, "I came here to help Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix. If I'm not wrong, Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix is in a very bad situation right now." Yi Jiufeng sneered, "Just a trivial Qiao Jirue. Yi Jiufeng, don't put him in my eyes. He couldn't do anything to me before, and he still can't do anything to me now. My grand spirit heaven's starry sky doesn't fear his devil domain." Chuan Xinluo still spoke up calmly, "Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix, don't bully me. You naturally don't fear Qiao Jirue, but what if you add in Zhongkong Tianji?" At this point, Chuan Xinluo deliberately paused. Sure enough, Yi Jiufeng's expressions changed slightly. She already knew that Qiao Jirue and Zhongkong Tianji might join forces. If the two of them joined forces, she would not be a match for them. However, this was not what she feared the most. What she feared the most was this Chuan Xinluo in front of her. This person was cruel and merciless, with a black heart. If he took the opportunity to step in, at this time, Chuan Xinluo once again spoke up as if nothing had happened. "If adding in Zhongkong Tianji is not enough, how about adding in me, Chuan Xinluo?" Yi Jiufeng's expressions finally changed, and she spoke up with a gloomy expression, "If you want to come to my grand spirit heaven's starry sky, then just come. I, Yi Jiufeng, will not be scared." Chuan Xinluo knew that Yi Jiufeng still had a tough mouth, so he didn't continue to provoke Yi Jiufeng. Instead, he spoke up with a warm voice, "Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix, if I wanted to join forces with them, I would have done so a long time ago. I came here today to help Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix. If Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix agrees, then I, Chuan Xinluo, will not sit back and watch the grand spirit heaven's starry sky get invaded." Yi Jiufeng glanced at Chuan Xinluo, took in a deep breath, and spoke up slowly, "What does Brother Leveled Heart want? Please say it directly, I don't like to beat around the bush." Chuan Xinluo clapped his hands and spoke with appreciation, "Talking to Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix is truly worry-free. I, Chuan Xinluo, don't want anything. I just want Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix to mobilize the entire Grand Spirit Heaven's starry sky and help me find a person. I only know that this person came to the Grand Spirit Heaven's starry sky, but I have no way of knowing which planet he is on." Chapter 622. Yi Jiufeng, on seeing that Chuan Xinluo did not seem to be joking, hesitated for a moment before inviting Chuan Xinluo into the 9 Phoenix Palace. After the guest and host sat down, Yi Jiufeng did not beat around the bush and directly asked, "Who does Brother Leveled Heart want this little sister to help you find?" Chuan Xinluo showed a faint smile and took out a somewhat vague portrait. "I'm looking for this person." Yi Jiufeng frowned, "This portrait is too vague, how can we find it?" Chuan Xinluo did not worry about the blurred portrait and spoke with confidence, "I know, but this cultivator is most likely the cultivator riding the wind-seeking heavenly bull. The magical weapon he used was either a spear or an axe, or a combination of these two kinds of magical weapons. There might be a pair of twin heavenly cloud wings, and the level of it was not low. In addition, he also has a pretty good disguise magic treasure that can change his appearance." Yi Jiufeng suddenly understood and stared at Chuan Xinluo before speaking, "I understand. You suspect that the cultivator who took away the Earth origin bead is this person, and he also took away the starry sky wheel?" "Yes, I'm looking for him." Chuan Xinluo knew that he had to ask Yi Jiufeng for help. He had investigated many of the cultivators who escaped from the immortal Jade Star and finally found that the cultivator who killed the Celestial Bridge and fought against 100 people at the entrance of the exploding Golden Wasp Valley was the one he was looking for. Moreover, it was very likely that this cultivator possessed a fortune treasure. Yi Jiufeng took in a deep breath. If this cultivator really was as Chuan Xinlo said, then this cultivator definitely had a lot of treasures on him. He might even have a good fortune treasure on him. Brother Leveled Heart, if what you said is true, then the good fortune treasure is also on this person. Wouldn't it be too much of a loss for me to help you like this? Yi Jiufeng's heart surged with emotions after knowing that this person was in the Grand Spirit Heaven's starry sky. Chuan Xinlo spoke with a deep voice, Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix, I won't hide it from you. Previously, everyone didn't trust each other and said that the good fortune treasure would be divided among several people. That was simply nonsense. He just wanted to wait for the good fortune treasure to appear so that everyone could fight over it. He just didn't say it out loud. Now that we're cooperating, I only want the good fortune treasures. As for the starry sky wheel, the earth origin bead, and that cultivator, you can have everything else. Even if a good fortune fragment appears in my grand eternal heaven starry sky, if you find it in the future, it will also belong to you. Yi Jiufeng remained silent. Both the starry sky wheel and the earth origin bead were peerless treasures. However, compared to a creation treasure, it was still quite lacking. If we work together, we'll both benefit, but if we split up, we'll both lose. If Junior Apprentice Sister 9 Phoenix does not agree, I will go to the demon domain or the devil domain to seek help. Chuan Xinlo stood up. He felt sure that Yi Jiufeng would not disagree. Yi Jiufeng also gritted her teeth and stood up, okay, I agree. The South Sword Rest Stops Gong Liangla initially did not care about the waiter's words, but when he learned that Yuzhini and Yutingji, who had chased after that female cultivator, ended up dead, he immediately felt afraid. Compared to the Yu clan's Yuzhini, he was nothing. If that Jiangzhou's Ning Qing really killed Yuzhini and Yutingji, then he, Gong Liangla, would not even be worthy of a slap. When Gong Liangla thought of how he cheated others of tens of thousands of purple coins, his heart was filled with regret. Tens of thousands of purple coins were nothing to him, so why did he make such an idiotic move at that time? Worried that Ning Qing would come knocking on his door, Gong Liangla thought about it over and over again and finally made up his mind. When that Jiangzhou's Ning Qing came, he would compensate the other party 100 times. He could still afford to pay 1,000,000 purple coins. But what puzzled Gong Liangla was that even after half a year, that Jiangzhou's Ning Qing, who said that he would come to visit, had never come to the Sword Mountain Path, let alone visit him. However, a search order from the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky came to the Sword Mountain Path, but the portrait listed on the search order was somewhat vague. However, Gong Liangla, because of his fear of Ning Qing, always had Ning Qing's shadow in his mind. He felt that this vague portrait somewhat resembled that Jiangzhou's Ning Qing. Moreover, this search order stated that this person came from another grand starry sky, that he might have changed his appearance, that he might have the twin wings of the heavenly clouds and an axe-type weapon, and that this cultivator might have a black longevity bowl. With all these conditions added together, Gong Liangla guessed that this portrait most likely belonged to Jiangzhou's Ning Qing. However, Gong Liangla still did not report it. Firstly, he was not very sure about it. Secondly, although the reward on the search order was rich, whether he could get it or not was an entirely different matter. Originally, he had offended Ning Qing, and according to Ning Qing's methods of dealing with the Yu clan, he would at most have to pay some purple coins, which should not be life-threatening. If he reported it, and that Ning Qing was not caught for a while, then the only thing waiting for him would be danger. No one would care about the life of the person who reported it. Gong Liangla knew this very well. Gong Liangla believed that there was no need for him to report it, as someone would automatically report it. In fact, Gong Liangla did not guess it. He did not struggle for long before the news of someone riding a black bull in the Sword Mountain Path quickly reached the top. However, because Shi Qianghua carried Ning Cheng on her back, few people noticed Ning Cheng's appearance. Ning Cheng indeed did not go to the Sword Mountain path. Not only did he not go to the Sword Mountain path, but he also did not even stop at the rugged pillar star. After thinking that he needed to refine the starry sky wheel, he immediately left the rugged pillar star. The main reason was not because he knew that Chuan Xinlo had found the Grand Spirit Heaven's starry sky and had issued a search order for him across the countless planets in the Grand Spirit Heaven's starry sky. Instead, he was afraid that refining the starry sky wheel would cause too much of a commotion, which would cause the starry sky wheel's aura to leak out and attract the attention of the rugged pillar star's powerhouses. The vast starry sky aura of the starry sky wheel, coupled with the ancient aura of vicissitudes, was the main reason for Ning Cheng's worry. Therefore, after Ning Cheng left the rugged pillar star, he used the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to travel for nearly a month before finally finding a shelter inside an abandoned meteorite in the starry sky. He planned to refine the starry sky wheel here. Ning Cheng did not think that this slight bit of caution on his part would allow him to escape from a calamity. Otherwise, if he stayed on the rugged pillar star, no matter how fast he moved, he would have ended up as a ghost under Chuan Xinlo's hands. At first, Ning Cheng had planned to spend a few days refining the starry sky wheel. However, when he started refining it, Ning Cheng realized how naive he was. He did not know how many restrictions covered the starry sky wheel. He only knew that after 3 months, he only managed to refine 36 restrictions. Fortunately, although Shi Qianghua did not have any consciousness, she could automatically absorb the starry sky essence qi for cultivation. Although this kind of absorption did not help her cultivation, it allowed her to maintain her current appearance. In order to make his speed even faster, Ning Cheng spent another 3 months of time. However, when he refined the 49th restriction, no matter how hard he tried, the starry sky wheel did not show even the slightest fluctuation. Ning Cheng did not continue to refine it. He knew that his cultivation was limited. Moreover, the starry sky wheel was a top-grade flight-type weapon. It was normal for him to not be able to fully refine it. However, Ning Cheng did not feel disappointed. Although he did not know how many restrictions covered the starry sky wheel, he knew that the starry sky wheel could change into several different shapes. Once he truly refined the starry sky wheel would not only have a speed comparable to teleportation, but it would also be able to change into many different shapes. It was not until this moment that Ning Cheng felt deeply touched. Even if a starry sky battleship was made, even if it was fast, it could not change its shape like a weapon like the starry sky wheel. Ning Cheng allowed his starry sky wheel to transform into an ordinary pointy-headed flying car. The flying car had 4 wheels, somewhat similar to the off-road vehicles on Earth. However, this shape was several times larger than the off-road vehicles on Earth. There was a large room inside the flying car, which was for Shi Qianghua to rest in. During the 6 months that Ning Cheng refined the starry sky wheel, Shi Qianghua stayed by his side. By now, Shi Qianghua had already gotten used to being by his side. Once he was not in the room for a long time, Shi Qianghua would feel inexplicably anxious. Therefore, Ning Cheng also stayed in the room to accompany Shi Qianghua while controlling the starry sky wheel. Ning Cheng had just started controlling the starry sky wheel when his spiritual consciousness could no longer see the situation outside the starry sky wheel. Ning Cheng immediately understood that the starry sky wheel should be faster than a top-grade starry sky battleship. Moreover, he had not fully refined it. Once he refined the starry sky wheel. Could it be like what elder brother Tsang Wei said, that the starry sky wheel could even pass through interfaces? Originally, Ning Cheng wanted to return to the Sword Mountain path to deal with the South Sword Rest Stops Deacon. But because of the speed of the starry sky wheel, Ning Cheng immediately gave up on the idea. Dealing with the deacon was a trivial matter. Now that the starry sky wheel had such a speed, it meant that he could use the starry sky wheel to reach the named Descendant Celestial River. As long as he reached the named Descendant Celestial River, he felt confident that he could find the rootless Black City. Compared to returning to the rootless Black City to see Luofei, Ning Cheng immediately put aside other things. Qionghua's injuries seemed to be getting better and better. Maybe he could help Qionghu recover her consciousness even without going to the everlasting sacred shrine. Besides, if he went to the everlasting sacred shrine, with his current cultivation, he wouldn't be able to speak in front of that sacred master. Ning Cheng had already refined 49 restrictions on the Starry Sky Wheel. As such, the Starry Sky Wheel's positional disc could now display the position of some starry skies. At least, Ning Cheng could see 4 large starry skies on it. After setting the Starry Sky Wheel to head to the grand culmination Starry Sky, Ning Cheng let Chasing Bull come out to look after the Starry Sky Wheel and record the situation along the way. As for himself, he stayed in the room and continued to cultivate. Chuan Xinlo and Yi Jiufeng, who almost turned the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky upside down, did not think that Ning Cheng would leave the Grand Culmination Starry Sky. Inside the Starry Sky Wheel, Ning Cheng crazily used perpetual moon pills to cultivate. The millions of perpetual moon pills allowed his cultivation to rise rapidly. Half a year later, when Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Wheel passed by the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City, he had already broken through to the middle stage Celestial Bridge realm. Another year later, when Ning Cheng's Starry Sky Wheel reached the Striking Order Starry Sky, his cultivation had already reached the late stage Celestial Bridge realm. Ning Cheng looked at the Starry Sky position on the Starry Sky Wheel and felt a myriad of emotions in his heart. It had taken him 10 years to travel from the Striking Order Starry Sky to the Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City. But now, it had only taken him a year and a half to travel from the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky to the Striking Order Starry Sky. Not counting the time it took him to return to the Grand Culmination Starry Sky from the Grand Spirit Heaven Starry Sky, it had only taken him a year to return to the Striking Order Starry Sky from the Grand Culmination Starry Sky. The decision to sharpen the axe would not delay the work of chopping firewood had turned out to be the right one. When he left the Striking Order Starry Sky, it looked like he had moved even further away from the rootless Black City. But today, it took him less time to return. Chapter 623. He wanted to enter the city first, then purchase a clear route from the supporting Taro Star to the rootless Black City, and then quickly head to the rootless Black City. According to the speed of the Starry Sky Wheel, Ning Cheng estimated that it would take him at most 10 days to reach the rootless Black City from the supporting Taro Star. It might not even take 10 days. A few days would be enough. What made Ning Cheng feel a trace of emotion in his heart was the name of this city. This city had a name that he was very familiar with, Border City. Many thanks, Senior. Chang Manin quickly received the pill and thanked him. The woman in front of him froze when she heard Ning Cheng's words. Then, her eyes turned red and she knelt on the ground. This junior is Chang Manin, Zhuzhu's mother. Does Senior know where my daughter is? Please tell me. The only possibility was that this woman had an unusual relationship with Yi Zhuzhu. Thinking back to when Yi Zhuzhu's parents were forced out of the receiving heaven stone, this woman was most likely Yi Zhuzhu's mother. Not bad, you even have a grade 3 celestial pill, yet you dare to say that you didn't take it? As the voice faded, another cultivator landed beside Chang Manin and the middle-aged man. Ning Cheng had already restored his original appearance, while Chasing Bull had gained some limelight in the immortal Jade Star. As such, some cultivators knew about this fellow's identity. Ning Cheng did not want to expose himself because of a bull. Shi Qianghua looked at Ning Cheng in a daze, but was still as calm as before. Ning Cheng took Shi Qianghua's hand and stood outside a towering city, staring at it for a long time. This was the largest city in the supporting Taro Star, and it was also the place where the most cultivators gathered. Ning Cheng sighed in his heart, as he pulled Shi Qianghua and spoke in a soft voice, "Don't stray too far from me in the future." When Ning Cheng heard that Yan Ji was all right, he immediately felt relieved in his heart. He knew about the second Revenant Star. It was the number 1 star in the named Descendant Celestial River. If they wanted to rush out of named Descendant Celestial River, they would have to pass through second revenant star. Otherwise, he could only be like him, possessing a top-notch flying treasure. In that case, you can come with us to the city first. Ning Cheng did not continue to inquire about other things. Are you Ning Cheng? Chang Manin blurted out. A female cultivator with a tired face came out. She looked at Ning Cheng in doubt, and then looked at Shi Qianghua. Soon, she realized that the two cultivators in front of her were far stronger than her. She quickly bowed and said, "May I ask why the two seniors are looking for this junior?" Ning Cheng immediately understood that Yan Ji had told everything about him to this Chang Manin in front of him and immediately nodded, "Yes, I'm Ning Cheng. Thank you for saving my life, senior." Chang Manin said as she knelt down again. He saw 5 or 6 starry skies wanderers being stopped outside by the guards. Then he heard the guard say, "The smell of blood on you is too strong. You need to stay outside the city for a few days before you can enter." Ning Cheng had just walked out of the room, when he found that Shi Qianghua had also stood up and followed him out. "Master, can mistress walk?" Chasing Bull on seeing Ning Cheng come out of seclusion quickly ran over. "Stop!" The guard suddenly called out, causing Ning Cheng to subconsciously look back. Chang Manin knew that her daughter was safe and sound, and the stone that had been pressing down on her heart for the past few years finally fell down. She gave out a sigh of relief and spoke to Ning Cheng, "Junior apprentice sister Yan Ji's qualifications are much better than us husband and wife." After arriving at the border city, she advanced to the domain realm. A few years later, she crossed her tribulation and advanced to the celestial novice realm. After reaching the celestial novice realm, junior apprentice sister Yan Ji left the border city. She should have gone to the second revenant star. Ning Cheng was just about to say that he did not need to call her senior, when he saw Chang Manin rushing out without even taking a pill. Chang Manin was not a fool. After Ning Cheng said his name, she understood why this cultivator in front of her wanted to save her daughter, Izhuju. It turned out that the couple had helped Yan Ji. Sure enough, good will be rewarded, and evil will be repaid with evil. It's just that the other party couldn't do anything to him in the territory of the Orchid Burrow Star. However, he also couldn't do anything to Miao Pu. Now that he came out of the supporting Taro Star, Ning Cheng naturally thought of Miao Pu. Ning Cheng immediately thought that this place should be the closest place to the rootless Black City. Most cultivators coming out of the rootless Black City would come to this place as their first stop within the starry sky. Ning Cheng then saw her supporting a blood-stained middle-aged man. This middle-aged man's aura was very unstable, indicating that he had suffered some serious injuries. He was very familiar with this planet. It was one of the planets in the named Descendant Celestial River. Moreover, he also knew the celestial lord of this planet, Miao Pu. He and Miao Pu had a grudge because he had killed his son, Miao Hongyi. Later, after arriving at the Orchid Burrow Star's revolving Jade City, because of saving Lanya, the hatred between him and Miao Pu grew even deeper. A familiar face flashed through Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness, and Ning Cheng almost called out Zhuju's name. He immediately pulled Shi Qianghua out of the city again and arrived at this temporary residence. Ning Cheng quickly stopped Chang Manin and asked with an eager tone, "I want to ask about the female cultivator called Yan Ji who rushed out of the receiving heaven stone with you. How is she now? I'm going to put away the starry sky wheel. You should also enter the miniature world." Ning Cheng waved a chasing bull and said. Although this city looked majestic and grand, it still lacked an artistic conception compared to top-grade starry sky cities like Lucky Heaven City and Eternal Heaven Starry Sky City. It also didn't give off the feeling of being surrounded by clouds. In fact, it looked just like an ordinary true cultivator city. Previously, Ning Cheng couldn't use his spiritual consciousness to check on a female cultivator like Chang Manin. But after talking to Chang Manin for a while, he realized that Chang Manin had hidden injuries. Because of this, Ning Cheng couldn't help but feel excited. Rui Baishan had brought many cultivators from the graceful star mainland to this planet. Moreover, his sister Roland should also be with Rui Baishan. Qianghua, I will definitely help you cure it. Ning Cheng took Shi Qianghua's hand and spoke with a firm voice. In any case, he would definitely help Shi Qianghua recover. Chang Manin on hearing Ning Cheng talk about her injuries felt even more shocked. Most celestial Shatterer cultivators would not be able to see through her injuries without using their spiritual consciousness. However, Ning Cheng had already noticed it. That Yan Ji not only had heaven-defying qualifications, but she also had excellent vision. This Ning Cheng was much stronger compared to ordinary cultivators. Many cultivators came and went from the entrance of the border city. Ning Cheng could no longer see any cultivator above the heaven-seated realm. Even cultivators with 3 celestial wheels were few in number. Most of the cultivators with celestial wheels had 1 or 2 celestial wheels, while most of the cultivators were ordinary cultivators without celestial wheels. On the other hand, there were more cultivators in the domain realm and plundering life realm. Moreover, most of these cultivators exuded a strong starry sky aura, indicating that most of them lived in the starry skies all year round. Ning Cheng raised his hand slightly, and Chang Manin involuntarily stood up. He couldn't help but sigh. When Ijuju's parents went to the receiving heaven stone, they should have already reached the late-stage crucible transformation realm. Now that so many years had passed, Ijuju's mother was still in the plundering life realm, which showed how difficult it was to cultivate. Supporting Taro Star, a star within the entire named Descendant Celestial River, could only be regarded as an unranked star. However, when Ning Cheng saw this star on the Starry Sky Wheel's Starry Sky positional map, he immediately stood up. Are you Ijuju's mother? Ning Cheng asked as he thought of this. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness had already detected the bloody aura emanating from these Starry Skies wanderers. From this, he understood that these wanderers had slaughtered their way through the Starry Skies. However, these seemingly fierce Starry Skies wanderers did not resist when the guards scolded them. Instead, they bowed respectfully before retreating out of the city. Soon, Ning Cheng arrived outside a simple cave. He reached out and touched the simple restriction on the door. Ning Cheng immediately understood that Shi Qianghua had indeed recovered a lot, however, she still did it subconsciously. Because she had been with him for a long time, when he stood up, Shi Qianghua also stood up. Ning Cheng gave out a sigh in his heart. In any place, strength was everything. His strength might be at the bottom of eternal heaven's starry sky city, however, in this place, he was a high and mighty existence. Ning Cheng felt sure that he did not see it wrong. The woman in front of him looked very similar to Yi Zhuju. The degree of similarity was almost 90%. If this woman was Yi Zhuju, there was no reason for her not to know him. Yi Zhuju was equivalent to his and Luofei's daughter, so how could she not know him? As soon as the medicinal pill entered his mouth, the middle-aged man looked at Chang Manin in shock. Manin, what medicinal pill is this? This junior has been waiting for my husband to come back. He has yet to return from the starry skies. Chang Manin quickly replied. She wanted to take the initiative to talk to Shi Qianghua, however, Shi Qianghua remained silent, which prevented her from taking the initiative to talk to Shi Qianghua. Ning Cheng immediately stopped and raised his hand to hold Shi Qianghua's hand before speaking up in surprise. Qianghua, are you alright? After you left the receiving heaven stone, Zhuju ended up being imprisoned in the receiving heaven stone's rest stop. After my wife Luofei and I arrived at the receiving heaven stone and learned about it, we immediately rescued Zhuju and killed all your enemies. Now that Zhuju and Luofei are together, I came back this time to visit them in the rootless Black City. Ning Cheng quickly explained on seeing Chang Manin's anxious look. Chang Manin had always been here, but she did not see her daughter, which meant that Yi Zhuju and Ji Luofei had not come to the border city. The celestial will behind Shi Qianghua had long since disappeared, allowing Ning Cheng to simulate 2 celestial wheels. In the border city, cultivators with 2 celestial wheels were already considered powerhouses. Ning Cheng pulled Shi Qianghua through the city gate. Not only did the guards at the gate not question them, but they even bowed slightly in respect. "Big brother Jean, what's wrong?" Chang Manin spoke with an anxious tone as she put the medicinal pill in her hand into the mouth of the middle-aged man. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept out and found a row of temporary residences on the west side of the city. Seeing cultivators walking around in these residences, Ning Cheng understood that these cultivators had returned from a massacre in the starry skies and then stayed outside to dissipate the bloody aura. Ning Cheng took out a medicinal pill and handed it to Chang Manin. "This is a healing medicinal pill. It should be able to heal your injuries. Song Tong, you were the one who injured my husband this time, right? How many times have my husband and I told you that we have never seen those things you mentioned? Why do you not want to let us go again and again?" Chang Manin's voice turned hoarse due to excitement. Chapter 624. The middle-aged man quickly stopped Chang Manin and said, "Manin, this has nothing to do with him. I was besieged by someone else, not him." The man named Song Tong sneered, "It looks like I'm too kind. You clearly have a grade 3 celestial pill, yet you lied to me and said that you didn't take it. If you don't hand over my share, I can only report it to Steward Miao. At that time, Jean wouldn't just end up injured. Even if I wanted to protect the two of you, I'm afraid that I wouldn't be able to do anything. Don't tell me that you can afford a grade 3 celestial pill, and don't say that someone gave it to you. If you have the ability, why don't you ask someone to give me a grade 3 celestial pill?" In Song Tong's opinion, unless that person had a mental problem, how could they casually give out a grade 3 celestial pill? What was the price of a grade 3 celestial pill? Not to mention that one couldn't buy it in the border city. Even if a grade 3 celestial pill appeared in an auction, it would still fetch a sky-high price. What he worried about was that Jean might have a grade 3 celestial pill and other medicinal pills. Once Jean had enough cultivation resources, he would soon become a celestial novice cultivator like him. Therefore, he absolutely could not let Jean advance to the celestial novice realm. Of course, grade 3 celestial pills had a sky-high price, but that was only for ordinary cultivators like Song Tong. For Ning Cheng, grade 3 celestial pills were worthless things. "I have a lot of medicinal pills, but why should I give them to you? Who do you think you are?" Ning Cheng's abrupt voice interrupted Song Tong's sneer. "Who are you?" After asking this question, Song Tong felt shocked to discover that he had not noticed Ning Cheng's presence. Ning Cheng had 2 vague celestial wheels behind him, so he should have noticed it a long time ago. Then he saw the girl in Ning Cheng's hand and marveled at the girl's tranquil appearance. Even after living in the border city for so many years, he had rarely seen a woman more beautiful and tranquil than this girl. This girl definitely was not simple, that was Song Tong's first thought. Then he thought of Steward Miao. Maybe he could gain Steward Miao's favor. Ning Cheng had long since removed the veil covering Shi Qianghua's face. Since Shi Qianghua would not become a sacred lady in the future, there was no need for her to wear a veil. Ning Cheng ignored with Song Tong and raised his hand to take out another healing pill before putting it into Chang Manin's hand. "Heal first. Were you the one who gave me the pills just now?" Only then did Song Tong realize that there really was someone who could be so generous and casually take out a grade 3 celestial pill to help others heal. And from the looks of it, the quality of the pill was very high. Ning Cheng lightly glanced at Song Tong, causing Song Tong to feel a chill run down his spine, while feeling even more shocked in his heart. Ning Cheng already had a celestial novice cultivation, while the other party was at most a celestial shatterer cultivator. As such, why did he feel such a powerful pressure? "That's right, I was the one who gave you the pill a moment ago. Could it be that when I give the pill to my friend, do I still have to greet you?" Ning Cheng spoke in an unhurried manner. Song Tong came back to his senses and started calculating in his heart. With his celestial novice cultivation, he truly was not an opponent against this celestial shatterer cultivator. Moreover, this celestial shatterer cultivator had so many grade 3 celestial cores. Moreover, when the other party took out the grade 3 celestial pill, he did so in a very casual manner. From this, one could tell that this person was an extremely wealthy cultivator. Maybe this fellow had something even more precious than a grade 3 celestial pill. Although Song Tong could not do anything to the other party, some people did not even put a celestial shatterer cultivator in their eyes. Ha! Song Tong laughed and suddenly spoke to Chang Man-in, "Congratulations on finding a good backer. Let's meet again." After saying that, Song Tong turned around and quickly rushed towards the entrance of the border city. Ning Cheng had wandered the starry skies for many years, so as long as he saw Song Tong's eyes, he would immediately know what this fellow wanted to do. However, he did not put it in his eyes at all. He was a cultivator who could instantly kill celestial bridge cultivators. If he still chose to hide in the border city, then all the cultivation resources he had consumed over the years and all the hardships he had gone through to cultivate would have all gone to waste. "Big brother Jean, this senior is Ning Cheng, Yen Ji's." Chang Man-in did not know who Ning Cheng was to Yen Ji. But now that Ning Cheng was holding a stunning woman's hand, she did not want to say too much about it. When she reached this point, her tone turned vague before continuing, "Senior Ning saved our daughter, Zhu. Now, Zhu lives with Senior Ning's wife, Ji Luofei." Ning Cheng nodded with a smile, "Yes, Zhu and Luofei are together. You don't have to worry about it. I came back this time to go to the rootless Black City to see them. If you want to go, you can also come with me." Hearing that Ning Cheng had saved his daughter and that he could go see his daughter together, Yi Jin felt no different from Chang Man-in. He immediately knelt down on the spot and spoke, "Yi Jin thanks Senior Ning for his kindness." Ning Cheng had given them medicinal pills to heal the couple, which made them feel grateful. But no matter how grateful they were, it would never compare to Ning Cheng saving their daughter. Ning Cheng let Yi Jin stand up and said, "You are Yen Ji's friends, and I am also Yen Ji's friend. From now on, you can call me Ning Cheng." "Yes, senior apprentice brother Ning." Although Chang Man-in and Yi Jin did not continue to address Ning Cheng as senior, they also did not directly address Ning Cheng by his name. The seniority of starry sky cultivators was not determined by age, but by cultivation. Seeing the cultivators watching from a distance, Yi Jin spoke up with some anxiety, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, you should quickly leave the border city." Chang Man-in had been worried about her husband, Yi Jin, and did not think about it. But now she reacted and immediately spoke up, "Senior apprentice brother Ning, although that Song Tong only has a celestial novice cultivation, he has an unusual relationship with a steward of the celestial Lord Miao clan. That steward has a late-stage celestial gatherer cultivation and is extremely powerful. Over the years, because of offending Song Tong, he has killed countless cultivators." "How did the two of you offend Song Tong?" Ning Cheng asked. Yi Jin spoke up with some anger, "When we first arrived at the border city, Song Tong was just like us, a rogue cultivator who had just arrived at the border city. We formed a team to explore the starry skies and look for cultivation resources. One time, we found the cave of a fallen celestial bridge cultivator and obtained a lot of cultivation resources from it. Because Song Tong's cultivation was higher than ours and he was the leader, he occupied most of the cultivation resources. Among the resources, there was a celestial river-class battleship, which Song Tong took away and later gave to the steward of the Miao clan." Ning Cheng asked again, "Song Tong said that you took away something. Was he talking about this cave, or somewhere else?" Yi Jin clenched his fists and spoke, "He was talking about that time. At that time, we had clearly divided the things. My wife and I only got less than 20% of it, while he got 70% by himself. The remaining 10% went to another companion, who was Song Tong's Dao companion. Over the years, after he advanced to the celestial novice realm, he kept finding trouble with my wife and I from time to time. If there was a chance, my wife and I would have already left the border city. It's just that Manin's injuries have not healed, and I have just advanced to the domain realm. If we had rushed into the starry skies, it would have been difficult for us to keep our lives. Since everything is clear, and he also knows that you did not hide anything, why would he find trouble with you again and again? In any case, didn't he form a team with you? Ning Qing felt a little puzzled. In the starry skies, fights and plots between cultivators were all related to benefits. If there were no benefits, then no one would plot against each other for no reason. One more enemy, after all, was not a good thing. Chang Manin, who stood on the side, spoke up in a hoarse voice, because he was afraid that we would reveal his scandal. What scandal? Ning Qing asked. Initially, we had 4 people in our team, including a very beautiful female cultivator named Zhang Lianrong. Because elder brother Jin and I helped each other, that female cultivator eventually became Song Tong's Dao companion. After we discovered the cave in the Celestial Bridge realm, Song Tong obtained the Celestial River-class battleship. However, he did not keep the Celestial River-class battleship, instead, he gave it to Miao clan's steward, Miao Wuxian. Chang Manin explained. Ning Qing nodded, this Song Tong truly knew how to run a business. The Celestial River-class battleship was indeed important to Song Tong, but with his cultivation, it would be difficult for him to keep the Celestial River-class battleship. Therefore, giving it to Miao Wuxian to seek a backer was a little scheming. As Chang Manin spoke till here, she gave out a sigh and continued with some regret, I didn't expect that Miao Wuxian to be such a lecher. He immediately took a fancy to Zhang Lianrong, who was standing beside Song Tong, and blatantly asked Song Tong for this female cultivator. What we didn't expect was that Song Tong did not hesitate to give his Dao companion Zhang Lianrong to Miao Wuxian. Later on, he indeed obtained what he needed. Not only did he find a good backer, but he also did not need to continue venturing into the starry skies to find cultivation resources. His cultivation was only slightly higher than elder brother Jin's, however, now that he has advanced to the Celestial Novice realm, we are still far from reaching the Celestial Novice realm. It's just that Zhang Lianrong took a fancy to such a beast. Yi Jin followed up, because only a few people know about this matter, we husband and wife just happened to know about it. Therefore, Song Tong tried every possible way to kill us. When I went out this time, it was him who found someone to plot against me. It's just that I managed to escape. When he saw that I obtained the cultivation resources, he became afraid that I would advance to the Celestial Novice realm. Therefore, he began to plot against us husband and wife more and more. Manin could only live among the crowd and did not dare to leave. Ning Qing finally understood that Yi Jin and his wife did not have an easy life. Knowing that Song Tong found someone to plot against him, he could only say in front of Song Tong that it was not the other party who did it. I'm going to the rootless Black City this time. If you have nothing else to do, then come with me to the rootless Black City. Ning Qing said. Yi Jin and Chang Manin were Yi Zhuzhu's parents. In any case, he should help them. Senior Ning, if you have a flight-type weapon, why don't we leave now? Yi Jin on seeing that Ning Qing did not want to leave immediately added a sentence with some worry. While speaking, he also deliberately looked at the city gate in the distance. Ning Qing showed a faint smile, you don't have to look. He's already here, and he's not alone. Yi Jin and Chang Manin then saw Song Tong and a female cultivator walking over, heading in their direction. What should we do? Chang Manin and Yi Jin looked at each other. Ning Qing's cultivation was already very high in their eyes. However, a celestial shatterer cultivation was not enough to deal with Steward Miao. Chapter 625. Ning Qing suddenly asked Yi Jin, do you have a detailed starry sky chart of the rootless Black City? No. Yi Jin shook his head. Their cultivations were still too low. The reason why they could come to the border city was that they had encountered an airship suspended in the void on the way. This starry sky chart was only owned by some major chambers of commerce and some fleets. Ordinary cultivators simply could not obtain it. At this time, Song Tong arrived in front of Ning Cheng's group. He glanced at Yi Jin and revealed a sneer. At the same time, he cupped his fists towards Ning Cheng and spoke, "Friend, I think you already know that my name is Song Tong. Fuck off." Ning Cheng spoke out without any trace of politeness. When Song Tong's complexion suddenly changed, Ning Cheng spoke up with even more disdain, "I have no interest in trash like you who gave your Dao companion to others to sleep with. You better get out of my sight immediately. Otherwise, this day next year will be the first anniversary of your death." Song Tong's complexion turned completely livid. He never thought that Ning Cheng would be so direct and speak out the words that he did not want to mention the most in public. After some of the cultivators in the distance heard Ning Cheng's words, they immediately focused their gazes on Song Tong. Many of the people here knew Song Tong and knew that Song Tong had a Dao companion, Zhang Lianrong. However, Zhang Lianrong had disappeared for some unknown reason. Many people thought that she had fallen in the starry sky. Only now did they understand that Song Tong had given his Dao companion to others to sleep with. No wonder this person's cultivation had soared in recent years, it turned out that this was the reason. Humph. Song Tong immediately gave a cold snort. He could not do anything to Ning Cheng, but someone would definitely help him. Song Tong had just finished giving a cold snort, but before he could even speak, Ning Cheng suddenly raised his hand and slapped him twice. Song Tong did not expect Ning Cheng to suddenly attack him. Even if he thought of it, he could not avoid Ning Cheng's two slaps. Pa pa, with two sounds, Ning Cheng's two slaps directly sent Song Tong flying, leaving behind two blood trails in the air. Then, Song Tong drew an arc in the air before falling to the ground like a dead dog. The crowd could only see Song Tong struggling to get up on the ground, however, even after struggling for a long time, he still could not get up. The surrounding cultivators immediately changed the way they looked at Ning Cheng. Song Tong was a celestial novice cultivator, and in this place, one could say that no one could match him. Who would dare to disobey Song Tong's words? Who would dare to disobey Song Tong? But now, Song Tong was slapped to the ground by this cultivator and he couldn't even struggle up. Even a crucible transformation cultivator could see at this moment that Song Tong's cultivation had been completely wasted by this cultivator in front of him. Song Tong had offended Song Tong here, knowing that once he lost his cultivation, he would never see the sun again. It was true that Song Tong was Steward Miao's lackey because he could still walk. If he couldn't walk, then he wouldn't even be considered a dog. Steward Miao would never raise such a useless person. Tian's Tong Chen Chen King had a Cheng. Tian 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 Tian, a Cheng had a Chen Tian. The cultivator in front of her could send Song Tong flying with a slap, which meant that the other party could also send her flying with a slap. The Cheng Chen Chen Tian Tian, the Chen Chen Cheng Tian chamber, the of the sect, the Cheng of the cultiva a Chen Feng, Cheng Cheng, Chen. No, I'm from the Border City's Chamber of Commerce. The Border City's Chamber of Commerce has a cultivator item exchange in progress. When Song Tong went to report to Steward Miao and several other guests invited their friends to go together. Therefore, I came here to pass on a message. If this friend doesn't want to go, I can go back and give a reply. How could Ning Cheng not know the story behind this? Someone must have overheard Song Tong and Mao Wuqian's report that he had a grade 3 celestial pill on him. Or Mao Wuqian, in order to share the benefits, asked him to take the initiative to deliver the pill. If he refused, then once this female cultivator went back and reported, someone would immediately come to teach him a lesson for not knowing how to appreciate kindness. No. Ning Cheng flatly refused. It was not that he was afraid of this cultivator exchange. With his current cultivation, it would be useless for him to go to this low-level cultivator exchange. Yes, sorry for disturbing this friend. The female cultivator quickly bowed and turned around to leave. As for Song Tong, who was lying on the side, she did not even glance at him. "Wait!" Ning Qing suddenly called out to the pretty-looking female cultivator. The pretty-looking female cultivator felt her heart tremble. She quickly stopped and turned around to return the courtesy. "Does this friend have any other instructions?" Just now, Ning Cheng had sent Song Tong flying with 2 slaps and even abolished Song Tong's cultivation. With this kind of strength, if he wanted to deal with her, it would not take more than a few moves. Song Tong was just a barely celestial novice cultivator. Although she was better than Song Tong, she was not much better. Even if someone killed this foreign cultivator who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, she would not be able to recover her cultivation. No one would come to restore her cultivation for an insignificant cultivator like her. "I want to buy a detailed starry sky chart of this starry sky. It would be best if it could touch on the edges of the various low-level interfaces. Can you tell me which store in the border city can I buy it?" When the female cultivator heard Ning Cheng's question, she felt relieved and carefully replied, "Friend, it would be difficult to buy this starry sky chart. None of the major stores sell it. This starry sky chart is only owned by some of the major chambers of commerce. However, these chambers of commerce do not sell these starry sky charts." The female cultivator did not explain why these chambers of commerce did not sell these starry sky charts. However, Ning Cheng had already guessed some of the reasons. Once these starry sky charts were sold, it would definitely affect the chambers of commerce's business. Ning Cheng suddenly frowned. Although his starry sky will contained a starry sky chart, it was not complete because he had not fully refined it. It only contained some major directions, while many minor directions were missing. If he could not purchase a starry sky chart to reach the rootless Black City, he would have to explore it by himself. If he went in the wrong direction, it would take too much time. In any case, he had to get his hands on a starry sky chart. If not, he could go to the supporting Taro Star's Celestial Lord and rob it. He and Miao Pu had a lot of enmity between them, so he might as well kill this sharp-chinned Celestial Lord. "Where is Miao Pu?" Ning Cheng thought of this and immediately asked. "Miao Pu?" The female cultivator immediately felt shocked. She immediately realized who Miao Pu was. Wasn't he the supporting Taro Star's Celestial Lord? This foreign cultivator truly had some guts. No wonder he disregarded the consequences and crippled Song Tong. Yet, he dared to ask where Miao Pu was. Wasn't this just courting death? A trivial celestial shatterer cultivator dared to ask about the whereabouts of the Celestial Lord. Although she despised Ning Cheng in her heart, the female cultivator still spoke with a respectful tone. "On the surface, Sir Celestial Lord went to Second Revenant Star and has not returned yet." After that, she did not wait for Ning Cheng to continue asking and took the initiative to speak. "If this friend wants to buy this starry sky chart, it is not impossible." "Oh, can you get it?" Ning Cheng looked at this female cultivator in doubt. This female cultivator did not seem to have a high status. Could she help him get a starry sky chart? This little sister's cultivation is still low, so I naturally cannot get a starry sky chart. However, the cultivator exchange meeting I mentioned just now is filled with some big shots. Some of them definitely have this kind of starry sky chart. The female cultivator replied with a respectful tone. Ning Cheng thought that this cultivator exchange meeting was definitely a high-grade exchange meeting in the border city. Moreover, the people who went in should have some status, which meant that they would definitely have this kind of starry sky chart. Thinking of this, Ning Cheng nodded to this female cultivator and spoke, "Lead the way, I will also go to this exchange meeting." Saying that, Ning Cheng then turned to Yi Jin and his wife and spoke, "You can wait for me here. After I get the map, I will come here immediately." Yi Jin and his wife quickly agreed. Ning Cheng had just destroyed the cultivation of a celestial novice cultivator with 2 slaps, which truly shocked them. It stood to reason that a celestial shatterer cultivator would not be able to destroy the cultivation of a celestial novice cultivator so easily. Since Ning Cheng could do it so easily, it could only mean that Ning Cheng's strength far exceeded that of ordinary celestial shatterer cultivators. The border city's Chamber of Commerce was located on the most conspicuous main street of the border city. The history of this Chamber of Commerce was even longer than Miao Pu's tenure as the supporting Taro Star's celestial lord. They heard that the first association head was already a heaven-seated expert. However, after this association head left the supporting Taro Star, he never returned. Nevertheless, the border city still enjoyed a supreme status in the supporting Taro Star. Even Celestial Lord Miao Pu would not dare to point fingers at this Chamber of Commerce. Ning Cheng pulled Shi Qianghua along and followed the female cultivator to the 5th floor of the border city's Chamber of Commerce, before entering a luxurious and huge hall. The hall was brightly lit, illuminating the entire hall. Nearly 200 cultivators sat on both sides of the hall, with more than a dozen female attendants standing on either side. When Ning Cheng came in, the cultivators in the hall immediately cast their gazes over, however, no one spoke. There were a total of 5 or 6 cultivators sitting at the head of the hall. One of them, a middle-aged man with a yellow face, glanced at Ning Cheng before his gaze fell on Shi Qianghua and spoke with a calm voice, "Friend, the one Song Tong mentioned should be you, right? Do you have some grade 3 celestial pills?" "Yes, it's me." Ning Cheng did not wait for others to greet him and took the initiative to find 2 seats before sitting down together with Shi Qianghua. "My name is Mu Wuqian. Although it is not in line with the rules for you to come now, I still invited you. I hope that your grade 3 celestial pills can bring some surprises to the exchange." The middle-aged man, on seeing that Ning Cheng did not seem to put him in his eyes, showed a slight frown. He had called Ning Cheng over for 2 purposes. The first was to let the other cultivators exchange for some grade 3 celestial pills. In this way, many people here would feel grateful to him. The second reason was that he wanted to recruit Ning Cheng for his own use. There were not many celestial shatterer cultivators in the border city. If this foreign celestial shatterer cultivator joined his camp, it would definitely help the Miao clan's Chamber of Commerce grow even stronger. Of course, there was another purpose, that is, he had heard that this celestial shatterer cultivator had a beautiful Dao companion. Now that he looked at it, it really was the case. The female cultivator sitting next to this celestial shatterer cultivator was much stronger than all the women in his immortal cave's inner courtyard. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.